On this episode of the Star Wars After Bad Character and the law. On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will bust out their fedora hats to break down the latest episode of The Bad Batch and its mysterious ancients. After Bad Batch time, they'll shift gears to a new report from the Acolyte about Daphne Keen's character, and they'll also talk about the latest celebrity guests attending Celebration 23. Of course, the show will end with the question of the week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie!
Hey now, everybody! Sorry about that. It's been a day of delays. It's 2:39. We're super late today. Let me turn on Nick's mic. We don't want to silence him. Okay, this is we do not cancel here at the Star Wars Time Show unless you deserve it. And Nick has not warranted a canceling, so I brought him back. But yeah, that was one of our typical openings here to the Star Wars Time Show. You don't get the joys of our shitty openings if you just listen to the podcast version. So you should, if you got time, or you don't have to be here live, but you should always check out the video version on YouTube, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show, because we just can't do it. We would fail in the radio biz. We would hit the post. We would step on the post nonstop, or just completely miss it because we never start when we should. Our intro will end. There will be black screen. There'll be dead air. then we'll cut on. There'll be video but no audio. It's just the Star Wars Time Show. I don't know how else to explain it. So, welcome.
What makes it fun? You never know what you're gonna get.
Just a complete disaster. But that's why we're here, and that's why you love us, or at least don't know about us. So welcome back. Welcome back. We do this shit every week. If you want to join in, if you're new here, if you do want to try to live stream the video version, don't forget, every week, 2:30 p. East on Tuesdays at Star Wars Time Show on YouTube. So, we're here to talk Star Wars. Unfortunately, we had another Bad Batch that kind of just played within itself. So we'll take that conversation as far as we can. Last week we were all worried, him and Holland, like, will this even be a good show? The episode was entertaining, but it really didn't push anything forward. We didn't get to see the Empire, nothing about Crosshair, so on and so forth, and we still almost rattled out a 3-hour show. But this week, I don't know.
We'll see what happens this week, because, I will say this. I thought it was a fun little, and we're going to use this word.
Indiana Jones.
It was a fun little self-contained episode. Matt threw that word to me in the break, and I was like, you know what? That's a good word to use for it. Self-contained.
Yeah, that's so. So those that have followed along, here, at least myself, and I don't think Nick would, but we don't use the term filler for Star Wars content because I don't believe in it. I'm against it. Filler content to me, as I've said, would be literally like just watching an episode of Star Wars characters staring at a wall, and that's it. But it's getting harder and harder to pretend that we're not getting some filler-esque type of content in the Bad Batch's latest 2 episodes. But we'll talk about it. We'll spin it. We'll tell you how it's not filler, even though it kind of was. But like I said, I can't say it. I can't use it when I'm describing Star Wars. So that's why Nick and I agreed to settle on self-contained. Okay.
Self-contained.
But I think we're going to have some fun with it because it was another episode where actually it was the first episode I can remember since breaking down new Star Wars on Disney Plus where there truly was zero references or eggs, anything of note. So I only had to do one video last week, which worked out because it was a snow day here. So I had to be home for the kid. But it was nice. But yeah, because of that, we are going to examine the whole concept of Star Wars ancients today. Okay.
Yes.
We both kind of have an idea on what was going on that planet and what ancient race was probably responsible for that mech. But we're going to kick the tires on another ancient race that has been recanonized as recent as Andor. So, we're going to kick this dead horse type of Bad Batch episode as hard and as often as we can to try to squeeze some sort of life out of it. But we've got some other stuff to talk about, some celebration announcements, an Acolyte ditty, of course, our fan segments. But more importantly, it's pop culture time. We always open the show with pop culture talk. We expanded our horizons, our coverage during the pandemic, and have just kind of been running with it. And we usually talk about things that either Nick or myself have gotten mixed up in the PC universe in between shows. So this week I'm coming back to you with another The Last of Us story. I'm caught up now. Nick is he's getting there. Okay,
I'm only on episode 1.
Okay.
So
he's on the first, and it's a longer episode, so we'll give him a pass. It's a longer one. It's like 1:20, but he's getting there. But I just watched the most recent episode, we'll call it the Bill and Frank episode. Very light spoilers for the TV version, for the game version. Go fuck yourself. It's been out for almost a decade, 5,000 different versions. But I have to say, Nick, and again, you can listen here. Episode 3 of The Last of Us, which predominantly focused on the characters of Bill and Frank from the video game, is hands down the best episode of the season, and quite frankly is probably one of the most touching episodes of post-apocalypse genre storytelling I've ever consumed. It definitely completely changes the story of Bill and Frank from what you get in the game. It honors their roots and that they were a gay couple that kind of met after the world went to shit. But in the movie, they change it drastically. The story of Bill and Frank and the relationship and how it plays out. And I'm not really going to go into the changes because Nick hasn't seen it yet. But all I can tell you in using broad strokes is that it's one of the greatest depictions of a love story I've ever seen, and it's a gay love story. So for some people, it's probably going to rub you the wrong way and turn you off. I'm not going to dive into why you feel that way seeing, gay people love each other. But if you can get past that and just think about humans, it is one of the most touching love stories I've ever seen. Speaking of love, here she is. We're not going to ignore her this week. I learned my lesson last week, even though I was just about to start crying talking about The Last of Us. But she's here. She's back. And what would we watch this week? Oh, we're doing check this out. Charlie wanted to start an MCU rewatch in chronological order. So
of Marvel.
Wow.
Right, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we started with who? Captain America. Then we watched
like one episode of Agent Carter.
Right.
It's Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel came next, and then Iron Man
1, then 2.
That's right. And then I broke out the Incredible Hulk because technically it is part of that early MCU, and I think like most people, she was like, "What the hell is this? Why does he look different? I don't like this." So, all right, buddy, good to see you. Welcome home. All right, so back to the serious stuff here. But yeah, not to like go too deep into it because Nick hasn't seen it, but it just like I said, I mean, it is a depiction of a gay love story, but that really shouldn't matter. It's a depiction of love between two humans in a time where you would think this stuff doesn't happen, right? I mean, society has collapsed. Humans are mostly shitty towards each other. Everyone's just trying to survive, but there's this story, this beautiful story of Bill and Frank. And as I was telling Nick before we went live, I mean, as the story progresses and you kind of see where things are going, I mean, it covers like 16 years. This story of Bill and Frank. So it's really, that's why this show's so great. I mean, the game is fucking fantastic. One of the greatest game narratives ever. But the show, Nick, is every episode, it adds these new layers that the game would never approach. And this episode is dedicated to that because it gives you the story of Bill and Frank essentially from the fall of civilization up to when the show's taking place in 2023. So it's just fantastic. And to kind of round this out, Nick Offerman, you know, the curmudgeonly carpenter guy who, you know, made a career off of like dry humor and Parks and Rec and all that type of stuff.
Yep.
Nick Offerman should win the presidency. Okay, I don't give him a fucking EGOT. Give him all. He should get an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony for his performance of Bill, because you won't even recognize the individual the way that, thanks to his performance, based on how we know Nick Offerman to be. You know, he kind of is a guy like, you know, when he shows up in a property, he's going to be the Nick guy. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be. He
kind of like plays himself a bit. Yeah,
exactly. This Nick, I'm telling you, man, like the guy, he did it all. I mean, it was just it was a beautiful performance, overly convincing. You could totally see Nick Offerman as a survivalist, a doomsday prepper who Bill was. But the way they handle, you know, the relationship with Frank, and obviously the tender scenes, the love, it's fantastic. Okay, I'll leave it at that. You know, this isn't the Last of Us time show, but I had to comment on that piece of pop culture because, you know, as Trevor is saying in here, one of the best episodes of any show I've seen. That it's true, it really is. And sadly, I think it's only going to be true for people that, you know, I hate to use this term, but that's kind of how it's been portrayed. Woke people like myself. You know, I'm okay being woke. If woke means that I'm not a racist and I understand that there's some fucked up shit going on in this world for certain populations, okay, I'm woke. But I think people that don't like woke are probably going to be rubbed the wrong way by this episode, and it's a shame. But we all know how they think, and they're not enlightened, I guess is one way to talk about it. So there you go. There's my 2 cents on The Last of Us. I think Long Night is the title of the episode, but titties. I mean, just a masterpiece. Okay. Yeah, the music's great. Like they just, I don't know if they got the same guitarist from the game. It
is.
Okay.
Gustavo Santaolalla. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing.
The guy, yeah. He's a gem. I mean, he just plucks like those notes, finger picks it, and it sucks you right in and really kind of adds to the emotional punch. All right. We're not done yet, though, because I don't know if you guys were paying attention today. And this is a Star Wars podcast, just in case you're new here. But, you know, we're all geeks and nerds. We all kind of like the same things. We all like to play in similar universes, be it Star Wars, Marvel, DC. So this little ditty's on DC. And if you've been paying attention, DC's creative direction was kind of rebooted in 2022. They brought in James Gunn and I think Peter Safran to oversee it for the next 15 years. And Gunn and him, they've been meeting for months and planning shit out. But today, Gunn finally made some official announcements. So we now have the official DC universe roadmap. And hey, guess what? They're going movies and TV, similar to something that starts with M. So, Nick, Mr. Gunn, who I love, he's one of my favorite creators out there. And I'm a little concerned on the TV lineup, but we'll talk about that. But he announced the DC movie lineup for the near future and the DC HBO TV series lineup for the near future. And it sounds pretty cool. So real quick, DC movie-wise, we're kicking things off with Superman Legacy, which is going to be written by James Gunn. Film is scheduled to hit theaters July 11, 2025. So even as fucked up as the DC universe is, they're still able to get Star Wars movies on a schedule and in theater. I mean, their movies in a theater on a schedule before Star Wars. Okay, and this movie is going to be a focus on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing, a.k.a. every other beginning Superman movie. But yeah, Nick, I think you hit on to something, though. It does sound like this movie may be heavily focused on the early years, the Smallville, Kansas type of deal, which would be different. But if it's like, okay, the first half is, hey, he's here and and now he's Superman in Metropolis, it's like we've literally seen that 5,000 times. So
I was gonna say, like, my issue is, like, I'm glad that Gunn got his shot to lead DC because they need somebody to be able to do something correctly over there. But it's like, dude, if you're just going to release, say, like, here's another Batman movie, here's another Superman movie, here's another Wonder Woman movie, here's another this movie. It's like, we've seen those, like, we've seen especially the Superman and Batman characters redone over and over again so many times that, like, man, they really need to be good to even get me interested.
Okay, yeah.
Because at this point, I'm like, Superman, yay, awesome. Superman's a fucking boring ass character. Like, I don't know if people just don't know how to write him, or if, like, Superman is inherently a boring ass character. But, like, I have no interest in a Superman movie.
You're
Batman,
not wrong.
We've had so many fucking Batman movies. Like, I don't care about another Batman origin story.
Well, just wait. Like, we're not done yet. So save some of your vitriol. God. Save some of your vitriol. But here's the deal. I will agree with you on the Superman thing, but there are DC Universe animated Superman movies that are excellent, like edgy, dark, somewhat surprising. So that there are people out there writing good Superman stories, but for some reason it doesn't make it to live action. But listen, it's James Gunn. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. The guy really has never disappointed me with any of his projects. So I'm gonna hold my hate for now. I do wish Cavill was still involved because I liked him as Superman, but I can get over that. Okay, so here's the next movie, Nick. The Authority. Wildstorm characters will join the DCU as members of the Authority, take matters into their own hands to do what they believe is right. I have no clue what that is, so cool. Something new, something I've never heard of in DC. Do you have any idea who these fuckers are? The Authority and Wildstorm and...
Nothing at all. Like, honestly, I don't know shit about DC outside of just, like, the very basic, like, characters and, like, the big mains, I guess you would say. Right. I had much more knowledge about Marvel stuff than I do about DC
Gotcha.
Stuff.
The copycats. So here you go. Let's see how this tweaks your tits. The next movie, Nick, The Brave and the Bold. The DCU will introduce its Batman and Robin in this unusual father-son story inspired by Grant Morrison's comic series. Now, is that a Batman story that interests you since it's not the Genesis, or do you just want to kill Batman?
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. So is this like, so what the fuck is going on with this Matt Reeves
Don't
Batman
worry. We're getting there, buddy.
Oh my God.
Just hold on. Notice they say it's Batman and Robin. So yes, you have inferred correctly. Even with James Gunn rebooting the DCU, there's still going to be multiple Batman.
Yeah. See, it's a problem. It's a problem. And like, I don't know if it's because they don't want to, like, if because like Matt Reeves signed a 3-movie deal they can't pay him out of it.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Nick, to me, it's sounding like the Reeves Batman is essentially its own alt universe at this point, where it's going to live in DCU, but it is separate from what the fuck they're doing. Because, the Batman Part 2, ready to hit theaters October 3rd, 2025. So continuing on, this one kind of excites me. We're going to get a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie, which is a science fiction adventure. I think that's what I like. I love sci-fi, which will be based on Tom King's amazing, award-winning recent comic stories, presents a Supergirl viewers are not used to seeing. Okay. All right.
I mean, I was a fan. So I was a fan of the Arrowverse. I will say that. Like, I didn't fit. Like, I watched multiple seasons of all of the shows. I didn't finish them, and I know that kind of the Arrowverse is coming to a close. Either came to a close recently or is coming. To a close. I believe
the Flash is running its final season, and I think that'll be it.
Yeah. So like those, like I enjoyed the Supergirl show with Melissa Benoist, or however you say her last name. I may have mispronounced that. I truly enjoyed the Arrow show with Stephen Amell, and the Flash with Grant Gustin. Like all of those three shows I enjoyed from a TV, like not even like a prestige TV, but just from like a network TV perspective. I thought that they were all very well
executed. They had a really good run, but I've fallen off. I mean, I'm a season or two behind on Flash, and at this point, it's like, who even gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what did it to me, is like just realizing that there was no, like, at a point where I was trying to keep up with DC movies, knowing that there was absolutely no connection between what was happening with the DC films and what was happening in these shows. I was like, well, what's like, if there's not going to be crossover, if there's not even going to be a discussion of like events that happened within the shows in the movies or vice versa, then like, why the fuck am I trying to keep up with all this stuff? It's just too much to try to...
And again, it's another stumble by DC, because if you remember Marvel, even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still tangentially ties into the MCU. I mean, if you go... And, you know, I obviously recently did this, but if you go to sites like, I want a true chronological rewatch, Nick, that's like, all right, watch this movie. Watch 3 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1. Watch this movie, this short, go back to S.H.I.E.L.D. So I do agree with you there. All right, moving on. Swamp Thing is getting his own movie. I have like zero draw to Swamp Thing, but I know to like DC faithful, he's like a big important character for some reason. I don't get it. It just never really interests me, but hey, it is what it is. We got Superman. I'm happy. And then, like we said, the Batman Part 2 is still on the schedule. And in the live stream chat here, SW Black Series Clips brings up a good point. What's his name? Todd, whatever the fuck his name is. His Joker, I believe, is filming now too. With so is that a part of the DCU, or is that another thing where it's like? But that's, well, I mean, it has to be a part of DC, just license wise. But yeah, it's not even on Homeboy's list here, so I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. Again, this is not against Gunn. This isn't against anybody who's just Gunn or Peter Safran, but like, if you're DC and you're Warner Brothers and you really want to do a reboot, like you want to say like, hey, we're starting from ground zero, you need to shoot those movies in the face. You need to cancel them and just be like, look, I appreciate what you've done. I know we had a deal, but hey, we're moving in a different direction and we're trying to set precedent and we're trying to build a universe around these stories. You're not wrong at all, but I think what you said a few minutes ago is what's happening. Too much money has been spent. I mean, the contract jail. Aquaman 2 still coming out, even though that DCU is killed. But Momoa, his second Aquaman, is still releasing because, you know, they're knee deep in the green, and I don't think they're ready for the PR smack to start canceling movies again like they did with Batgirl. So I mean, we'll see. Like I like you have enjoyed everything that I've seen from Gunn. I truly do believe that he's a good filmmaker. I don't know anything about Peter Safran. I think he's just kind of like an exec guy who's I think you're right. I think he's probably more producer-ish, front office type. Hey, have you ever seen the Gunn movie where it's like a dark Superman take? Where like this kid. The kid, the one with the kid. Yeah, it's literally Superman, but not. But the guy is like evil. You know, he uses his power to like kill shit and kill his adoptive parents and whatnot. It's actually pretty good, but I mean, that's Gunn. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever watched anything Gunn. I'm just like, I don't like it. I like Gunn. I like the way he thinks. I like the way he writes. I love his, obviously, I think one of Gunn's best assets is how he pairs, rock music with his shows. It's like he's better than anyone. I think Quentin Tarantino's up there too with that ability. Brightburn. There we go. Thanks, Bat. Brightburn was that movie.
That was it. What's going to be interesting to me is that, okay, so Gunn is essentially taking the Kevin Feige role.
Correct. But it's split. So it's like for what I understand, Gunn and Safran equals Feige.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that Feige's not a filmmaker. Like, Feige is an expert.
He's a producer. He's a producer. He produces.
Yeah, he's a producer, but he's done something in the MCU that nobody's been able to achieve before or since, and that is taking and like they've tried it with Star Wars and we saw it fail.
It's fucking crazy. Like that, Nick, that still blows my mind to this day, because I know, when we all heard about Disney Plus, I was like, it's a no fucking brainer. I mean, how do you? It's Star Wars. Hello, you got existing legends you could tap into, but it's fucking Star Wars. You create new stuff, and you are right. We still, the movies have failed. The shows, we had the Mando verse, but it's like it could be even more interconnected.
Yeah, and I think that like what Gunn needs to try to achieve is that managerial aspect of what Feige does. Because I don't think Feige, I mean, I'm sure that Feige is working with these directors, these writers, to say like, hey, here's the overarching kind of storyline that we're going for in this phase. Obviously, phase 4 was a little bit of a flat one in comparison to the 3 prior.
Ant-Man phase 5, buddy. Come on.
Yeah. It's going to do Quantumania looks like it'll be fun.
We're finally going to get our big bad.
But I don't know if Gunn has the ability to do what Feige does.
No, you're right.
To not only find the talent, but also to be like, hey, look, you can tell your story. You can tell your story in the voice and tone that your story is told, but we're all working towards an overarching goal of this narrative.
Yeah.
And he's been able to do that successfully for nearly 20 years at this point. And it's going to be interesting to see if Safran and Gunn can achieve that, because Gunn, as a filmmaker and as a storyteller himself, I'm sure is going to want to have hands-on creative control.
You're not. I mean, bro,
stuff,
he's writing Superman himself, so you were exactly right.
Yeah.
And the other thing, we got to look at it like this: Gunn and Safran have a completely different situation they walked into than Feige. Feige, kind of came in ground level and had the plan. These guys are coming in as firefighters, essentially. So, we got to give them a little grace. But, I think their hands are tied on some of the legacy stuff just because of, as Nick said, contract jail. It is what it is. I mean, it's just too many millions of dollars. And they're just like, hey, Gunn, Safran, yeah, you guys are the geniuses. You're the creatives. We understand rolling out multiple Batmans and Aquamans is bullshit, but we've spent close to $1 billion, so we're just going to fucking do it. We got to try to get some of the money back. God damn it. So just plan for 2025. All right, so
maybe they'll call it DC Legacy. Maybe they'll just call those movies DC Legacy.
DC
Legends.
So here we go, real quick to kind of wrap up DC and we'll get in the Bad Batch. But it's also, like I said, we're going to have a TV wing now. So the first series there, we're going to get Waller, which is going to be Viola Davis's Waller from Suicide Squad.
Amanda Waller.
Booster Gold. Booster Gold uses basic tech from the future to pretend to be a superhero in present day. Very cool concept. I have no clue about the character or property, so all right, I'll check it out. Lanterns, this one's excite me because I do think the Green Lantern franchise universe is very engaging, very sci-fi-ish, if done right. So we're going to get a Lantern TV series. Paradise Lost. This will be a Wonder Woman TV series completely set on Themyscira. So that has potential to be good. And then here's this note, like I said, Momoa, his Aquaman is still coming out, and there have been talks, maybe not in this article, that Momoa may transition from Aquaman to Lobo in the new DCU, which makes sense. He looks just like the fucking guy. Just paint him white, give him red eyes, and some black face paint, and we're ready to go. So there you go. That's the first salvo from the Gunn Safran-led DCU. It is what it is. It's a roadmap. I'm not overly excited. I want to see more about the Superman, the castings, the true setting like we talked about. Is it just going to be the usual origin story, or will it stay with young Clark, teen Clark for the whole thing, which could be interesting. All right. Woo! There you go. Take that, Feige, you punk. Ant-Man's coming up quick, I believe. End of February, I think. I'm kind of excited for that.
Yeah, I think it's...
I like Paul Rudd, you know. He's just one of those guys. He just seems like a likable motherfucker, you know what I mean? Like yeah. He's almost like a real person, a genuine person, and not a piece of shit. Okay.
Yeah, no, he seems very nice. February 17th is when...
Wow, okay. I thought it was like 27. Is that even a real day in February? Yeah.
27th, yes.
Yeah, it's
the 29th is not.
That's 29th,
it, right?
is 29th is the one that gets a little fucking squirrely every 4 years or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Who's the asshole that invented that? Like, why? What?
It's because...
Have we ever drilled into why we're like, oh yeah, February's a fuck-off month, and fuck it. Every 4 years it gets an extra day.
It's because every revolution around the sun is slightly longer than 365 days, and every 4 years... the amount of extra time that passes that we don't track equates to 1 day. So they tack on the day in February since it's the shortest month of the year.
Oh, so I still go back. Why did February get marked to be the shortest month of the year? Like, who said, you know what? Fuck it.
Oh yeah.
The February month, you're the one that's gonna literally have days that no other month ever has. Like, even when it's not a leap year, February still doesn't have the right fucking amount of days in it. How hard? What? I mean, time's something we made up. Why do we just say every month has 30 fucking days? Who gives a shit?
Look, man,
these stupid these old ass scientists were so fucking dumb. You know, it's like they had like what they would like lick their finger and stick it up in the air, and they somehow figured out we were, you know, revolving around the sun. You got to give them credit, but they were also fucking stupid because of their lack of resources. All right, here we go. Bad Batch, S2E5 Entombed. Okay, so typically we each give our own review, and then we break down some of the key moments here, and then we would talk about some Easter eggs, references, so on and so forth. This episode, in my opinion, had none of those. I took a lot of notes, I looked them up, and really nothing presented in this episode had any, it wasn't featured in any other previous Star Wars property, outside of some potential speculation points when Fee was mentioning Star Wars Ancients, and they made it very clear that they're not the Jedi, they predated Jedi. So that was, you know, we have some interesting speculation to get into there. I mean, was it Radican? Was it Zepho? I'm leaning towards the latter, but we'll have a little ditty on that. So go ahead, Nick. Entombed, what say you?
It was a fun little episode. Like we said in our question of the week that we'll get to later in the show, very Indiana Jones liked. I mean, as soon as we started and they were like, we're going to go on a treasure hunting adventure, the first thing I thought was like, okay, this is going to be like a little Indiana Jones type adventure. I hoped at first that there would be some primary story plots in there, like maybe they would run into the Empire going wherever they were going to get something, especially considering that what they were supposed to get, or like the heart of the mountain, as they described it in the show, is like this thing of great power and value. I was a little bit upset that we had 2 episodes in a row where we essentially had no furthering of the plot line around the Empire, or just around like what's going on in the galaxy in general. But I do think that the episode itself was fun at the very least. Like it was fun. You know, the design of the temple was really cool, and then finding out that it was like this massive mech. The introduction, I guess you would say, to the idea of the ancients. I wonder if that's something that's going to be followed up on, or if that's just literally going to be like hey, the ancients exist and we're never going to talk about them again.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's more than likely going to be that, especially for these characters. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was a good episode. It was another one I put on kind of, while I was making and eating lunch, because there wasn't anything in there that was really going to push the plot for like the overarching plot narrative further along. But yeah, I mean, it was fun.
Yeah, well, that was a nice way to kind of spin it there. Yeah, it was fun. That's Nick's. You know, Nick, he's a pretty even-mannered guy. He's not like me. He doesn't flip off the handle or shit like that. But I'm pretty sure that was Nick saying, yeah, it kind of was dumb, but it was all right. It was good enough for background shit. And I mean, sadly, I kind of have to agree. I'm never going to hate anything Star Wars, even as much hate as I've thrown at the prequels. I still really don't hate them deep down. I've seen them all a jillion times, for Christ's sake. Studied them, broken them down, analyzed them. So I never really hate Star Wars outside of maybe how they handled Anakin's turn and Revenge of the Sith. But I'm getting over that eventually. Maybe 10 more years of therapy. But it's just, and here's my deal. It was a fun episode. It was entertaining. It was 100% Indiana batch. I mean, they didn't even try to pretend they were not honoring another Lucasfilm property. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Kevin Kiner, I almost have to file a lawsuit on John Williams' behalf, because I think Kiner essentially lifted Williams' scores from any time Indiana was solving a puzzle or in a tomb or doing something like that. But it was great. I mean, the music was probably one of the best parts of this episode. But again, and I'm not, you know, listen, and I think a lot of people forget, because, you know, the first 6 seasons or 5+1 seasons of the Clone Wars are so old at this point in time. But those series, as well as Rebels, they would have episodes like this. They would have runs where it's just like, hey, here's the team just living in the world. Yep. And I guess my critique here is not so much the episode itself and its content and its lack of overarching season narrative meat. It's more the schedule, okay? I mean, what is his name? I think it's Bradley Rao and Jennifer Corbett. They kind of show run this. The episodes, they're in the fucking hopper. They're in the can. It's not like this is South Park, where they're working on these each fucking week, trying to incorporate, actual pop culture bits into it. I don't understand the cadence at this point in time. Like, you know, I get episodes 1 and 2, and those being a 2-banger. Okay, good. It kicked off the season, reintroduced us to the batch. Moved us forward in time a bit, kind of set the stakes of what the season's going to focus on. And then we go right into one of the best Bad Batch episodes ever with the Empire laser focus episode. But then they're like, all right, we'll have some fun after that dark episode with the racing episode. And that makes sense. Okay, dark. You've had 3 episodes where, you know, we're giving you plot. Let's have some fun with a little plot at the end. But I was really expecting to return to an episode that got everyone back into the big mix. Maybe not so much either just focusing on the batch or just focusing on the Empire, but, you know, the batch it goes on a mission that the Empire is involved in, something like episode 1, where, you know, you get some of that hijinks going on. I was not expecting another, as we have dubbed it, standalone, like back-to-back standalones. Especially if they're not a part of a multi-episode arc. I think it gets dangerous with animated Star Wars and how the fan base can react. Because you start to go like, oh, why am I here again? Yeah, this is fun, but, you know, I'm here for Star Wars because it's real life. I want the lore. I want some more exposition on this time in the Empire's rise. Why aren't we getting that? Why are we going on fucking Indiana Jones crusades right after we had a fucking pod race episode? So to me, that's probably my biggest critique. It's not so much the episode and its content. It's really the scheduling of the episodes and not having better forethought to kind of pace out the standalones while mixing in the more broad narrative type of episodes.
No, yeah. I mean, you're 100% right there. Like, there's no logical reason or chronological reason that you needed to release this episode right after the last one. Like, you could have had this episode anywhere in the season. There's nothing that anchors it to a specific point in the season. It's not like okay, well, right when the pod, it's not like, Tech and Wrecker walk back into the little cantina where Sid and Fee are, and are like, man, that pod or that racing thing was such a great fucking time. Like, they didn't even reference the episode prior to it in any way. So you had nothing that was like anchoring you to this specific point in the season. And for something like this, I agree. I mean, it's fine to have these self-contained episodes and have these episodes that don't really focus on the primary storyline overall, but it is a little bit concerning to have them back to back, especially this early in the season, where you've basically had half of your season now not focused on any particular overarching storyline.
Yep.
I have to agree with you that the choice to have this episode at this juncture of the season was questionable.
And it's just,
I don't know
I
if
mean,
something happens.
We're
like
we're
the
a
only thing
fickle
that I can
bunch.
say is like, yeah, like I don't know if something happens in the future that would prevent this episode from being shown later. That being something happens to Fee or something happens to another one of the batch members that like puts us in a situation to where this particular group could never be together again. We don't know. But just in terms of like narrative storytelling in long form TV, I think it was a bad decision to have this one.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, listen, there are people out there, and especially in the Star Wars fandom, where, hey, we all headcanon it out. You and I, we speculate on what we want to see every week when new Star Wars is in town, so it is what it is. But, some people can't get past the headcanon and how they expect something to roll out. But I don't know, you would have to think as a storyteller that it doesn't make great sense to be like, meat. Let's fucking forget about all that for 2 weeks, because you can chase people away with the amount of streaming options these days, especially with the fickle Star Wars fans. If they don't feel like their fandom is being honored within, even a week, sometimes they'll bail. But 2 weeks back to back, that's giving them fodder. Like, see, told you. Disney ain't got shit. Bad Batch is bullshit. It's boring as fuck. I'm done. See ya. I'm out. It's just like you should know that by now. If you're at that level of Disney Plus to where your names are prominent in the credits, like you get a slide yourself, you should understand that doing back-to-back disjointed episodes, like Nick was saying. I mean, we've made fun of the droid episodes in the Clone Wars, but at least it told a fucking coherent story in itself over like 3 or 4 episodes. It might not have been great watching R2-D2 and C-3PO being the protagonists, but at least told a cohesive arc like we were getting in Andor. You get 3 episodes of that shit and be like, all right, well, we at least got a story about the droids. Here, it's like you get a pop, adventure pop, okay, completely disjointed. Here's another adventure pop. So none of the overarching narratives have been pulled through from episodes 1 through 3. So a lot of us have been just kind of dangling here, waiting, and some people don't have tolerance for that. And I would just think Disney's smarter at this point.
I mean, as small as our show following is, like, we can even see that in our responses. Like in our question of the week, this question of the week is another one where I was just able to take one screenshot because that's all the responses that we had. For those of you who follow the show, that what that means. That means that there were not a lot of people interacting with it.
Well, yeah, big surprise. IG at this point, it's like a Facebook or I mean, they're just like interactions are dead on IG.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the episode itself has a specific like effect on our overall number of comments, and then also obviously the ecosystem within Instagram as well. But yeah, I mean, you would imagine I think that the showrunners and the people need to understand that like there's always going to be less of an appetite for the animated Star Wars TV shows than there are for the live action Star Wars TV shows. And if you do something like this, like if you put yourself in a position to where you're having trouble continuing your narrative for multiple weeks in a row, then people, like you said, people are going to lose interest quickly. And I'm afraid that that's what may be happening here. is that people are now just like, oh well, this is just it's like a little kid show. It's a show for little kids. Where particularly this show, The Bad Batch, could be a show that is a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
I don't want to say mature, but like focused on events. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the first two for episode 2 and episode 3, we had executions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, Bad Batch. I'm with you. I think its tone is a little more dark for sure, but also getting closer to teen adult than TV Y7 or whatever the fuck Clone Wars was.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens with next week's episode. But yeah, I mean, this one, it was a fun little romp. And we'll have our discussion piece on the Ancients here shortly, because that's really all that came from it. I mean, even the monster itself that was shown in the show was not a monster that we had recognized from anywhere before. It also had no particular importance to the temple itself. It just seemed like it was a monster that had burrowed its way into.
Yeah, like it's like, is it a Zillow beast? No, I mean, you couldn't even like infer that. So, I mean, really, I did have two moments that kind of stood out to me. We might as well get to those, and then we'll just get into our Star Wars ancient speculation. But the first moment, and I briefly mentioned this, but Nick, when they're solving the first puzzle in that room that spins, that's where the whole Indiana Jones and Kevin Kiner's score was really banging, and it really took me back to, and it's kind of funny, we just rewatched Indiana Jones, but instantly when they're doing that, I'm there. I'm with Dr. Jones in the temple grabbing the idol, or grabbing the stones or grabbing the goblet. I mean, it was perfect audio and just kind of fun tension, excitement in that opening scene as they're solving the first puzzle there. But really, it was Kiner's music that kind of stood out. And I'm not kidding. I think John Williams should sue him. And then really the other moment I appreciated was the physical activation of the mech. I liked how that visually played out. I liked how it sounded, and it was just wild. And I have to mention, R.I.P. Mel. I love that they focused on this little busted ass bucket. It's like a modified gonk droid running for its dear life as this big fucking mech is trying to single-handedly take it out.
Like, I was surprised when they actually killed him.
Yeah,
I was like,
are they
really going to kill this little droid?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you caught it, but Fee's like, yeah, it happens all the time. I keep her memory backed up on on something or whatever. So, Mel still lives just like Frodo.
Make its way back.
Before we get into the whole Ancients thing, I did have some questions. I want to see if you picked up on this from this episode. We might as well. We gotta squeeze some juice out of this thing. So, I guess, why was this planet uninhabited still? Why has the Empire or no other race tried to do something to it? And do you believe the mech is why the planet was uninhabited? Like, was this a planet that the Ancients might have been in their system, that there was some big battle and the mech essentially zapped them all out, and then it went into a slumber? Or did someone put it into a slumber because it wasted the planet? What did you think about that at all?
I mean, not really, because it doesn't even really feel like the people who wrote this episode thought about that. I mean, that's why when I initially was when this episode started, I was like, oh, it's a treasure hunt thing. Maybe they'll run into somebody from the Empire, because we know the Empire had one. I mean, this is just from what we know about Operation Cinder and all of the exploration that Palpatine had people doing during the Imperial reign to like find artifacts of great power and importance. So I thought, I was like, okay, they're gonna run into some Imperial resistance.
That mech would definitely check that list of ancient power and importance.
Yeah, if Palpatine found that shit, then I don't know, maybe the Empire would still be around. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine that whoever the Ancients were, we'll have that discussion shortly, were probably a conquering race.
Right.
You know, and they would probably inhabit planets, take over in terms of, or you know, like assert their dominance over the sentient beings of the planet, and then just kind of move on in a kind of like a galactic conquest type of fashion. And maybe, you know, and like we'll talk about this a little bit with the Zepho when we get there, but you know, maybe like that little mech was where the people who were stewards over this planet stayed until they, you know, all decided to leave and go to the great unknown.
Yeah.
So that could be a reason. The only other thing I could think of for literally the planet being completely uninhabited and nobody else knowing about it, like
Connor in the chat saying it was a hidden planet not in the archives records. He thinks Fee mentioned that early on. Could be correct. I don't remember that.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like I get that from.
Well, yeah, no, you're right, because they needed that.
Hearing.
They needed that trinket to find it, right? Like that actually had the coordinates.
Yeah, but it's like this is like they conveniently use that in Star Wars. They did the same thing with Camino. It's like, oh, it got removed from the archives, or it's there, but it's not there. And the thing is like if fucking Fee knows about it, then I guarantee you somebody else
all pirates
knows about it.
Do.
Where did she?
Right, and pirates talk. You know who I was almost half expecting to see in this episode? Hondo.
Yeah.
I feel with Fee, like Fee to me is like the connection to bring Hondo into the Bad Batch.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that, but it's questionable to me that they would have. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know.
Here's another just random question here because I'm a weirdo. With something this powerful being activated, is this something you feel Sidious would have sensed in the Force?
It's interesting because
it seemed to be mechanical.
Yeah, I would say we don't know if there's any sort of Force like juice that was running through that thing. I don't think so. I don't think that that'll ever get like if he, you know, I don't think that he felt it. I don't think that there was a reason for him to feel it because it wasn't anything that was directly Force related. It was definitely some like ancient tech that had this thing running. That I mean, it basically had a restraining bolt on it. That's what that big heart of the mountain was essentially a switch preventing this thing from turning on and fucking destroying a bunch of shit. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that this is even going to hit like, and that's what kind of makes me upset here is that this episode was so self-contained that there nothing can come from it because nobody else was even there. At least in the last episode, we got that little tease about Sid's past, and now you have this other connection to some unseedy people from a different planet. Like you have people that like in the faster episode, you have people who are aware of not only the Batch's presence now outside of Sid, but also their abilities. And also you have a connection to another seedy underworld person. And in this episode, it's nobody. Like they have this adventure. They know it happened. And nobody else will ever find out about it. Like, it just seems...
Well, I mean, Nick, they make a point of that. They're essentially like, well, at least we fucking blew it up so no one can get a hold of it and do bad. So you're exactly right. I mean, it's... And it is the Bad Batch. Sadly, I don't see this franchise being one that explores something like Ancients or the occult in Star Wars. So I sadly don't think we touch on this anymore. But once we get into our Ancients discussion... little nuggets like this may be paid off in different properties. So, you know, that's the Star Wars through line mantra where this episode may, you know, maybe come March when what's its fuck comes out, the next Milquetoast Jedi game. Maybe we get something there if our speculation hits. But before we get to that, one last question here. Connor with another good point. The Heart of the Mountain was definitely very Tolkien-esque. And it did seem like some sort of dwarven gem that they would covet, like the Arkenstone or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, the last one I have
sure.
for you. Did you not feel like once the mech was activated, it purposely went after other mechanical things? I mean, it was literally chasing Mel till it blasted it. Once Mel was blasted, what did it turn its focus to? Their ship.
The ship.
Like it didn't care. It didn't give a shit that there were organics in its guts. As soon as it was activated, it was like, okay, mechanical shit. I mean, just trying to fucking smoke only mechanical stuff.
I mean, maybe that's how the Zepho or the Rakatans or whoever the ancients are would literally, like, they would drop one of these things on a planet and they would just be like, it destroys civilization by default. That's all it does. Yeah. Like it literally just, like, anything that has an electronic or mechanical signature, it's going to fucking blast it.
There's no event in Star Wars where, because this has popped up in other sci-fi properties where, you know, there'll be, there's like a coming to terms with artificial intelligence where the organics are like, fuck, this shit's getting too crazy. We need to try and quell it. That's never been presented in Star Wars, or has it? Because I know, like in the comics and what I've been reading, and there's these ancient droids, and these ancient droids were powerful enough that Jedi like actually had to go in and tank them out. So I think that might be.
So that's what I was gonna say. So do you remember HK-47 from?
Okay, so he's
KOTOR?
From the ancient droid lineage.
I believe so. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've really dove deep into the HK, but in the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO, you find out that like these HK droids, these HK assassin droids, there were a lot of them, like a lot of them. And like you can go on literally a secret side mission that you had to find out about in game and do all this weird shit. I had to look up YouTube videos of people who figured out how to do it. And you unlock your own HK droid. It's HK-74. Now in the game, you can pay for it and get it without having to do anything. But I believe that the HK droids were that type of
because it's coming back to me, because in the comic, the rebels found this ancient, I believe it was like a Sith droid, in fact, and they needed it because it spoke a language that no current civilization knew how to process. So they're going to use it as its code system, to send its transmissions between fleets coded. They were going to use this ancient droid's language, so the Empire couldn't figure out what the fuck they were saying. And recently, I don't know if it was Vader or if it was the Star Wars run, they touched back on it and they went back in history, and there was this droid who essentially became self-aware, was very powerful, and other droids started flocking to it, to the point, like I said, to where Jedi had to be dispatched to essentially genocide this race of droids. So maybe, this could play into it where, you look at it like the Matrix. The humans are like, oh, fuck it, we'll black out the sky. Maybe that will do it. Here, the Zephyr are like, fuck it, we'll build these mechs that we can drop on systems or on planets. They'll just literally scorch the earth until there are no not organics, but bioorganics or other mechs or other sentient AI are gone. I don't know. It just felt like this thing was fully consumed on mechanical items versus organics.
No, yeah. I mean, I do think that there is some logic there that fits along with what makes sense. What fits along with this storyline of this ancient civilization that had access to something like this. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that somebody else, in the chat, Batches brought up this could be explored in Skeleton Crew. I could see that too, because if once we get to the Zepho did escape into the great unknown, the unknown regions. And that is something that we know is going to be explored, I believe, in Skeleton Crew. And we also know that the Zepho the Zepho themselves are who built that big temple at the end of, well, I guess it's the beginning and the end of Jedi Fallen Order. So
I mean, there's a planet Zepho. Like there's Zephoonians, and then
like where they actually,
the game that you I think you start on Zepho, and you're right. I mean, they are an ancient. So we might as well just cross over into our next segment here, speculating on who the Star Wars ancients that Fee was talking about, and as Nick has said. That strong indication that we're probably looking at the remnants of Zepho war machines. If you just look at the structure of that mech, and if you look at Zephos themselves, the similarities are uncanny. Long necks, like that brimmed head. If you remember, Nick, the Tomb Guardians from the game look even more like the mech. I have images on the live stream if people want to check them out. So that's where I'm leaning towards heavily, because in my mind it's two options. It's the Rakatan or the Zepho. And I am leaning more towards Zepho. The more I think about it, the more I see, the more I read and remind myself of what the Zepho, who they were and what they got into in Jedi Fallen Order. But I mean, if you look at this Temple Guard, it's essentially a humanoid version of that mech. It's got the long neck, that brimmed head. It doesn't have the three eyes.
Horizon Zero.
I mean, come on, that was the biggest.
I will say.
That was the biggest takeaway. You're not wrong at all. I mean, we talked about that when we saw the trailer. Like, Jesus Christ,
when we saw the trailer,
did they go to the Horizon Zero Dawn universe or something? Because it's a direct ripoff of their giraffes or long necked dinosaurs or whatever the fuck it is.
Dude, I gotta say too, like if they, it's hard for me to believe that they didn't see that and we're like, oh shit, we may be a little bit too close to what this looks like.
Maybe they're all friends. Maybe it was the same artist, but just like Kiner was liberally borrowing from Williams, I mean, the fucking concept artists essentially stole the design from Horizon Zero Dawn. I think the only thing it was missing were like some spikes coming out of the back of its head.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it definitely wasn't as like, I don't want to call it janky, but like, you're right. Like, it didn't have that same aesthetic, like that Broken City type of aesthetic as Horizon, but it was the exact
the silhouette. The silhouette was identical. If you saw them in shadow, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But anyways,
it was pretty nice.
Back to the Zepho, just to remind everyone, Nick,
yes.
let me read the recording here, because I think it'll set the stage on who the Zepho were and the shit they got themselves into. All right, so this comes from Jedi Fallen Order, the Zepho. It's one of the Zepho Sage recordings. If you remember, I believe you have to fight multiple Zepho Temple Guardians across the galaxy to get shit, probably to level up since it's a game, but it was also for Cal to learn more about the Zepho and their history. So anyways, here we go. I offer this record of our civilization to those who will follow. Despite our wisdom and technological achievement, we face extinction. Dogma blinded us to the path of balance, and gradually we allowed our pride to corrupt us. The greater control we sought, the further we fell into ruin. I lead the remnants of my people into the great unknown, hoping that we finally find peace. Okay, so the Zepho, also known as Zephonians, like I said, they could wield the Force, but they called it life wind, which is like another way to describe farting in Star Wars, I guess. But like you listen to that, Nick, and they remind me of the Jedi Order when it got too much hubris and failed. They remind me of Palpatine's Empire, right? I mean, what they're saying there is like, we were awesome. We had the Force, we had the tech, but because all we wanted was control and domination, we essentially led ourselves to our own extinction, and now we got to get the fuck out of Dodge. So I don't know. I really am leaning towards the Zepho being the ancients that were talked about in Bad Batch. What say you?
Yeah, no, I excuse me. I definitely agree with you. I think that this is the best option of all the options that we were given so far.
They had temples, and they would probably have booby traps in their temples, so it just all kind of lines up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not only that, but like the Rakatans, like
they were true conquerors,
like, I know
right?
that,
Where they just conquered, but they were also technical masters, so they could have built something like this too.
Yes. I mean, they were technical masters. They were a far advanced civilization when they first made their way into the known galaxy. And I know that a lot, and like the Rakatans specifically were like a race of conquerors. Like the Zepho don't seem like they were a race of conquerors at first until, like you said in that little quote, like they had fallen to the dark side and they were conscious enough of their corruption to pull themselves out of the galaxy.
Yeah, they didn't go full. They didn't go full Sidious, but they dabbled.
Yeah, they did. They definitely dabbled. Where the Rakatans were enslavers, like they were slavers, they were conquerors. They came here for a specific. They came to the galaxy for a specific purpose to conquer, and then were, like, over time they were, I think, defeated by, like, the sentient forces in the galaxy or something like that. I'm not sure how the fall of the Rakatan Empire came around. I know I've played through it in fucking well, not played through it, but like heard the story of it told through the Star Wars The Old Republic game. But like, what I'm saying is, like, this doesn't, like, what we see in the show doesn't seem to fit what the Rakatans did.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, people may think that, Rakatan, when they see it now, because the fact that it was just brought up in Andor, but I do think that this is more than likely the Zepho.
Yeah, Rakatans, would you agree they were more like early Vikings, where they just kind of got their rocks off conquering other villages and pillaging and raping the resources and whatnot, versus being a civilization that was there at first to do good and to kind of curate the galaxy, but then because of their wisdom, power, and corruption, they went the wrong way. Rakatans were always bad eggs. Zephonians, like Bat's bringing up in the chat, like any great society, you eventually eat yourself from within and you crumble.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, I mean, the Rakatans too, if people followed that and they know the story from Star Wars, the Rakatans, like, enslaved Sith. Like, they enslaved, like, force using Sith to be their guards and stuff. Like, they were like truly bad entities. Where I don't think that the Zepho,
you know what,
really
Nick, I might just stumbled on something important here that confirms this. So I on the live stream, if you're on the live stream, I have the Zepho article Wikipedia up, and there's an image. I would call it would be like Zephonian hieroglyphics, okay? Something you'd see in like an Egyptian temple. But Nick, if you're looking at this shot I have on the screen right now, I think the delay probably kicked in. Look at those symbols in this hieroglyphic, okay? And then if we go back to our Bad Batch posts, to the scene where, remember they're in that like tumbler hallway and Omega displays the symbols. Now look at those symbols.
Yeah, I do think
don't they kind of match up? Like, just the look of them?
They're pretty spot on. They're pretty spot on.
I think we just fucking solved this mystery. Give us credit. I want every one of you motherfuckers right now to clip this, get it on your socials, and spread it to the world. We just solved the mystery. It's undeniable now. Look at those symbols, and then look at those symbols. I mean, come on. How good are we? I mean, I guess
we're good.
You could argue a little bit, but if I switch between the tabs quick enough, you can't tell it all. Look at that. They're the same. See, they're the same. I
mean, I think the big thing is it's like they're perfect. Like, the symbols themselves are square. Like, they're perfectly square symbols with, like, detailing in the middle, and that's true for both. I feel like it's definitely like a very close match. I mean,
it's pretty fucking close, man. That's pretty special. I will request an award for this one, so whoever wants to send it in, go ahead. If you need my address, just go ahead and slide into the DMs. We'll get it taken care of. But another thing, like, if I keep going down this Wikipedia article, I mean, look at the Zepho temple ruins, and its architecture is very similar to that doorway that they walked into after, Wrecker made all the fucking rocks fall down. Like that long, slim, kind of rounded edges.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Yep. Black Series clips. I like it. Matt's Indiana Jones. I'm the man. Thank you. Send those motherfucking checks, Venmo, whatever you got to do. Buy me a hot toy. Doesn't matter. You heard it here first. Confirmed. The Star Wars Ancients in the Bad Batch. Zepho, take it to the fucking bank on Aldhani.
And you know what? You know what that means? We're definitely getting Cal Kestis in this show. He would fit, honestly. He would fit.
And it would probably make him better. Like I haven't completely closed the door on Milquetoast Boy. I'll give him this second game. See if the 5 years and edginess are able to change my opinion. But I'd be down for a little animated Cal, getting some fleshing out. Although, sadly, at this point in time, he's still a junker on that planet pretending not to be a Jedi. So, or he just figured it out. I can't remember.
At this point, he's still the kid, though. At this point in Bad Batch time, period, right? He's still
that's
a
what
kid.
I mean. Like, Cal has not figured his shit out yet and broken free and teamed up with that other Jedi. So he's in hiding at this point in time. Or, like I said, starting his junking career on that planet where they tore down the Clone Wars war machine. Okay. Yeah. So, I honestly think we're so fucking good. We just solved it. So there's no point in going through it. I think we provided, a good case for the Zepho even before we masterclassed it. Sherlock Holmes, that motherfucker. The Rakatans, to me, they're more like warrior class, where Zepho, to me, I think they were kind of like what Jedi started out to be, and they had a few Vaders, a few Sidious's got fucked up, but not so much that they completely lost themselves. A few snapped out of it, and as Nick said, that was a good point. I forgot that they did head out into the great unknown, which very well could be touched on in Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, the Mando verse, or completely forgotten and left for us to headcanon the living shit out of it. You really, everyone has to kind of keep that in the back of their minds. The fact that they introduced it in Bad Batch, it could just be like, hey, yeah, there you go. That's it.
Yeah, I hope it isn't. I truly hope it isn't, because, man, that's the only thing that's saving this episode from being just like completely throwaway.
Yeah, the whole ancient stuff is cool. I love the idea of the ancients. It's right up my alley of lore, and how ancient civilizations ultimately form the future civilizations and what they do or don't do. But Bad Batch, I don't think the show is the series to do it unless they just go full on young indie, and that's all they start doing is gallivanting around the galaxy, searching out more Zepho mechs. But I like it. I do think we made a great case for Zepho. So please give us credit. Like I said, clip that. Our channel's at least big enough now you can make your own clips. I know no one will, but I'm at least going to say it. All right, so we got a few real light ones here. They're light because I didn't even bother posting them. Some of them are 11 days old.
One of them is literally like, this person's name may be this, and it's only a first name, but maybe not.
I put these in here now just to tweak Nick's tits, man. I love it, but he's not so wrong. He's so right. But hey, we'll spend 3 minutes on it. Why not? I think today's definitely going to be a Matt Mando. Just looking at the time, we may finish before 2 hours. So knowing you fuckers, you're going to be asking for your money back, even though this shit's free. I know how our fans are. They're always like, yeah, we love Star Wars Time Show. We'll do anything. And I'm like, hey, can you help us with something? No.
What do you mean? Hell.
I love it. It's like, and listen, I'm just fucking, being a smart ass, but it is. It's like, we're like, yeah, Star Wars D&D will be fun. And Nick and I, we have all these names to ask. I go down the list. No, fuck you, no. It's like, all right, yeah, our fans are definitely here to support us. We love you. But that's why I do love you, because you're a fan like I am. Listen, I've listened to Howard Stern almost my entire life, and I've never felt the need to call into the show, tweet at the show, or share the show's content. So I understand, but it is like, it'd be nice to have a few of you that we're like, yeah, we'll help you guys out. But that's why we love you. You're a bunch of lazy assholes just like us. But anyways, you guys ready for some big The Acolyte news here? I mean, this is going to blow those socks off. But according to the independent talent agency, Daphne Keane, who we do know is, she has a role in The Acolyte. Who the fuck knows what it is? But apparently, I could just, Nick is so fucking excited right now. Apparently her character's name in The Acolyte, you guys ready? Might be Jecki. Yeah, Jecki the Acolyte.
I want to put it in, like, look, I'm not, this is not a knock against Bespin Bulletin at all. I just like how he has this phrased. He says, according to independent talent, that's the talent agency, Daphne Keane will play the character of Jecki in The Acolyte. Jecki could well be a code name, but at least to me, I could see that name being used in a galaxy far, far away. So he's like, he literally says, like, they said the name Jecki, and he's like, but I am fully aware of the fact that it's probably.
Yeah, so I like I said, I don't even know why we're talking about this. I thought it would be fun to just throw it, because I know this stuff, these types of posts just drive Nick insane, because he's not wrong. But hey, it just gave us like 2 or 3 minutes of content. So
I will say, like, shit like this makes me feel like maybe they have their leak problem locked down. Like,
yeah, so you think Jecki's a code name? You don't think she's going to be Jecki from Schmecky?
I look. I mean, it's hard because Jecki is a name that could fit.
Hell yeah.
in a galaxy far, far away. I mean, 100%.
Jecki Skywalker, Jecki
right.
Palpatine.
But,
it all works.
But it's just like, if we compare what we're getting now in terms of like the news that's happening during like what we would consider off season versus what we were getting in like what we were getting in the past, I really do feel like they may have
I mean, bro, we had
figured out their leak problem.
Within like 2 weeks of filming, we had some glorious detailed set pick leaks, and yeah, now we're getting her name may or may not, or it may just be a code name, is Jecki. Jecki.
It is code name Jecki for Daphne, and that's the story. And it's like,
but you know what's funny? Again, hey, look, this is no knock on BB. Dude has a huge following. Like when he posts shit like this, sometimes his web server gets fucked because that many people are like, oh shit, Bespin Bulletin posted something, must be worth it, and they'll read it. And, more power to him. We've never been able to like catch on that way, but just Jecki. Hi, I'm Jecki. It's
I
can't stop saying
funny.
it. It's one of those words. Is like it's just stuck in my. It's just like Jecki. Hey, Jecki Binks. All right, I need to move on. I can see like the old ADD is getting locked in on the Jecki. So there you go. I told you, big time The Acolyte news coming out of the SWTS today. So you can thank us later. Okay, got some official news for you. At least for you suckers going to Star Wars Celebration 2023 and looking to get autographs. I gotta mention this story this week. Our buddy Tones, one of our biggest supporters. He's my guy. One of the elder statesmen of the Star Wars Time Show fandom. He hits me up in Discord, which we have one. If you want to join, just check out our Instagram. It's open. We don't give a shit. But he DM'd me. He's like, hey man, what do you think about this at Celebration? What should I be prepared for? What should I do this or this or that? I'm a sage. I've been to a few. I know the ropes. But this week he finally drilled into the autograph sessions, Nick. And he sends me a note. He's like, is this for real? Like they charge £200 for Hayden Christensen's autograph. I'm like, welcome to Celebration, pal. That's the joy. Like you pay all that money to get those tickets to pay even more money to do the shit you want to do. So yeah, we got the next line of Star Wars Celebration 2023 celebrity guests. And this one had some pops in it. But like I said, the pops led to some disappointment to those fans that aren't used to the autograph circuit. It's like I've tried to tell you people, and I don't want to, I'll probably come off sounding like a dickhead, but collecting autographs at shows like this, it's dangerous. It's a ripoff. I don't understand it, but
doesn't feel good.
No,
it doesn't feel good to like get an autograph that you literally pay to get.
And here's the deal, Nick. You know the celebrities, they're only doing it to make money. They're not doing it to like make fans feel good. And you guys get those pictures, and I'm sorry, like I'm a dickhead. I know this is going to sound awful, but when I look at that stuff, I'm like, what is the actor thinking right now? Like, hey, look, I'm with these two fucking losers that just gave me $400 to take a picture and pretend that we're friends, right? I mean, that's how I see things. I am a pessimist. I only see the negative in people. But anytime I see people that post their pictures with Ewan or Hayden and the actors, they're like smiling or in a pose, I'm just going, these people are looking at their watch going, when can I cash out and get the fuck out of here and take a shower, rinse out my mouth, cut my hands off? I don't get it. Like what Props does and accost these people on red carpets and whatnot or at their house. Okay, that's kind of cool. I get that type of shit. Plus he's having them sign like actual props and bringing value to it. But people that pay to go to these queued autograph sessions where it's just a money grab, don't do it. You're getting like literally your heroes are scamming you, right? They're scamming you. That's what this is.
Yeah, and like the thing is too is that a lot of time, and like here, this is just like what I've heard from people who've gone to other cons and stuff like that. Like a lot of times, if you can find where they hang out, like the bar they go to,
find the
after
hotels
or something like that. Yeah, like find the hotel, like figure out the hotel that they're at, and like just try to like bump into them. More often than not, they'll just be like, "Yeah, man, I'll take a quick picture with you. It's no big deal." But yeah, it was always, I've never been the type of person to like pay for an autograph. It just seems a little unsavory, and it's like it feels very transactional when it's just like. When all that you really want is just to like, hey man, I just want to take a picture with you because I'm a big fan. I don't want to pay fucking $200 for that.
Listen, man, and like I said, I know it comes off bad because I'm a collector and I spend thousands of dollars a year on shit that people that get autographs probably look at like, dude, you're a loser. They're like fucking Barbies that you put in a glass case and you masturbate to them. Okay, but I feel like my stuff has value. Are you going to sell your picture with their scribble on it, with you in it to somebody? I don't know. I doubt it. And that's the other thing. Like, how authentic is the effort they even put into those signatures and those big queues? I mean, they're probably trying to get through as many people as possible. So by the end of the day, Ewan's signature might just be like a fucking etch through your picture. So I don't know.
I mean,
I just it seems douchey on part of the celeb. It seems like they're taking advantage of fans. But it's big business. It's fucking big business. And there will be motherfuckers that spend thousands of dollars at Celebration 23 and will wait hours to do so. That's the best part. At Celebration, you don't you don't walk up. You have to like either pre-book a time, then wait in line for your pre-booking, or try to get in like towards the end of the show and see if there's just any walk-ups. So I mean, you're getting it everywhere at Celebration.
Yeah, and I don't know how much the actors have say in what
they typically don't. Like they're saying in
like,
the chat here, it's not usually the actor says I want 80 as signature. It's their people, their representation. But hey, Nick, they're still getting like, hey, if you come here and do the signing booth, we'll pay you $20,000.
Yeah,
that's what they get.
They definitely get paid to be there as well. They have some of them have an appearance fee. Not all of them do. Some of them do. I mean, most of the ones at Celebration will have an appearance fee. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like if you want to do it, then definitely go for it. Like have that moment.
But just know what you're getting into. It's a rip off.
Yeah, it's not cheap, and it's also like it's not Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to wait in line. Those lines.
You
get
said it
long.
right, man. It's very impersonal. Not that accosting someone in their free time isn't impersonal, but it's not. It's a meat factory. It's mass production.
Yeah.
It's like working at a Ford plant. They're like, all right, next, blah, 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 next, blah, blah, picture, next, blah, 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 blah. I mean, come on. There's nothing genuine happen there. But hey, like they're saying in the live stream chat, you're for damn fucking sure, Nick. If I was someone that was in like a popular thing in the 80s and that's all I ever did, that would be my life. I would be at cons every fucking weekend because they literally can have a 6-figure plus living just by going to cons 2 days a week and doing the pictures and autographs. So I guess I really don't blame anyone in all this. We can just give you warnings and tell you stories. But you're right. I mean, look, these dickheads like Admiral Pietz and whatnot, they make the fucking circuit still. Dennis Lawson's going here. I mean, that's one of the new people. So here we go. This is where the fun begins. So the big names announced this week, or really just today, I believe, or yesterday, are Hayden himself and the lovely Katie Sackhoff. All right, so those are your big namers there. But as Tones found out over there, I think Hayden's looking for 200 pounds a visit. So
200 pounds per visit, 100% for sure.
Yeah, have fun. And then who else we got here, Nick? James Arnold Taylor, who is Obi-Wan Kenobi animated voice.
Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Giancarlo. Mads Mikkelsen.
And Dennis Lawson. And then, last week we learned Anthony Daniels, Eckstein, Lanter, Baker, Esposito, Vivian Lear-Blair, who looks like she's going to be in this Stephen King movie coming up soon, and then Indira Varma. So those are the celebs so far for Celebration 23. Tickets are still available. Tones offered me a pass. One of his friends can't make it, but I just like, with a family and getting kids over there and being in April with kid in school, I'm in work, it just ain't gonna happen. I would love to get back to London. I've been there once. I fucking love that place. I know most people in the UK hate it because it's expensive. I don't know, maybe it just feels like America to me, but I don't see myself at 2023 unless somehow I get hired by Lucasfilm and I'm like working the stages instead of those jerk offs that get the mic that they bring to every other celebration.
One other piece of news just popped up.
All right.
I dropped it into our cast topics. It's not good. Jedi Survivor has been delayed 6 weeks.
These dickheads. There we go. I just got it on the screen right from Nick. Good pick there. But yeah, man,
this came out 2 minutes ago, literally. So
does anything release on time anymore? I mean, I'm waiting for them to now be like, oh, hey, by the way, Mandalorian season 3 is not debuting until April. I'd be like, yeah. But it's like, what the hell? So yeah, Nick's not right. I got the tweet up right now. It is now coming April 28th. And there's like some big mea culpa, but they're pretty much just saying, hey, it's not done. If we release it in March, it's not going to be finished. You're all going to hate us. You're going to swat our families and threaten to kill us. So we're just going to wait till April. And you know what?
Yeah.
Good on them. But who should be fired in these moments, Nick? Right? Like, this isn't developer level. This is this is upper management that makes these fuck ups. Correct?
Yeah. No. I mean, and here's the thing. I think that like in the gaming industry, we've gotten beyond the point of like setting a due date for a game 2 years before it comes out. Like, you should all that should be happening with games is like, okay, we're developing a game and you have no release date for it until you get to the stage where you're post gold.
Yeah, I was going to say, it better be gold or beyond. If you know what gold is when they're confident enough in the code that it actually like starts getting pressed onto discs.
Exactly. So like, and then usually what happens is like, okay, you're gold, and then you usually release 2-3 months after you're gold. So like, why not just wait and say, hey, let's fucking just not give a release date until we're confident in what that could be.
I mean, luckily I'm not. I wasn't.
It just doesn't make sense.
I wasn't necessarily like pining away for this game. I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. It's new Star Wars. It is going to be expansive, but I didn't love the first one, and I've listed my reasons. It was mostly for the combat, but if you really analyze Jedi Fallen Order, was it really even that great or engaging or deep of a story? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was definitely like, now knowing that the first game was essentially meant to kick off a series, maybe the second one will be a little bit more expansive in terms of its storytelling. So we'll see what happens there. But it's funny too, because like on that tweet, one of the first tweets or one of the first responses after it got put up was, "I literally took this day off of work. Now I have to do something else." Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's sometimes it's more fun to read the replies to
the
it.
responses. No, but dude, I just think it's like, I think it's funny that like we're still in this cycle of like these delays when.
Well, dude, you know what it is. It's the big bosses. Like, come on. We gotta move the meter. We gotta raise the stock price. Make an announcement. Let's go. That's what it is.
Yeah,
there's no way the studio heads are signing off on this shit unless they're part of the marketing team, or you know, they're on the board, or they're in the C-suites. Like, the studio heads, they know where their team's at. They know where the fucking game is at. So why would they be like, yeah, go ahead, guys. March 15, fuck it, it's ready, go. And then be like, oh, just kidding.
Yeah, sorry. That was that was a mistake. Yeah, no, I mean, like it's one of those things now where the industry has matured to a point to where it should be beyond this stuff. Like, we should be beyond delays and everything like that, because you shouldn't even announce.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like, and it's purely for pre-order stuff. Like, that's why they still do these announcements far out from when they even have an idea of when this game would be ready, is so they can throw up pre-orders on websites and on Amazon and stuff like that, and they get early money. Mm-hmm. But like, it never makes a difference whether you pre-order it or not. Or, like, you know, it's just an unsavory business practice.
Yeah, and really, gamers at this point in time, they're trained to wait. I think gamers would rather wait with an open date versus get a date and then a month before the date have the rug pulled out from under them.
Yeah, no, I mean, just do like development updates. Just do like, hey, you know, we're starting development on Jedi Survivor. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, 8 months later, just be like, hey, we're, you know, we have design elements and level design completed for 75% of the game. And then, you know, a year and a half down the line, say, we have HD textures.
Right, trickle something out, put out some high res art, maybe a little B-roll, a trail or something. Just gamers just need to know that something's still alive, because we've also had games announced that never come to fruition. So we're not saying just, hey, we're making this game and then but I think Nick's right. Like, you get little updates throughout, and then once it's to gold and everything, all the fucking I's are dotted, T's are crossed, shoes are tied, then you go, all right, motherfuckers, here's the release. Here's your pre-orders. Eat it up. Buy all that stupid DLC garbage for the pre-order bonuses. Let's go. But that's just not the case. It's all money. Nick's right. It's like, as soon as we can get a date, that goalpost is up. Now we can start getting motherfuckers kicking their dollars through it, and that's what it is. Speaking of kicking dollars, man, someone needs to cancel my DraftKings and FanDuel sportsbook already. I've been on it 2 weeks, and
I've never done any of that.
Dude, I think I told you, like, it just came legal in Ohio. So for some reason, it's legal for gambling companies to give offers to new gamblers that are no different than if you walked down the street and handed out bags of drugs and said, hey, you never tried this drug? Try it. You never tried this drug? Give it a try. Oh, here's more drugs for free. Give them a try. So in 2 weeks, I've spent 50 of my own dollars to get all of the fucking free shit these companies are giving you. Then with that free money, I've now turned it into $400 of winnings. And I'm now the guy, dude. It's like, I knew it. And this is why I didn't want to sign up, because I know I'm a piece of shit.
But you're like, hey, let me take that 400, put it back in.
There you go, bro.
Get more.
within 1 week. So this Sunday, Championship Sunday, I'm already doing live betting. Like betting on if they're going to score on a drive or betting if they're going to punt
well,
or kick a field
you're doing
goal.
all the prop bets.
Yeah, dude. I was like,
oh no.
I was like, oh shit. Eagles are looking good on this drive. Let me see the odds. Like, oh fuck, they're still giving me plus odds. Bam, they're gonna score a touchdown. They score a touchdown. I'm like, oh, that was an easy $60. All right, let's do it again. Let's roll it into the next one. Man, I just anything I do.
We may need to take a GoFundMe for Matt if he gets too far into this gambling shit.
Yeah.
It's just cash stashed away.
But so far, I can at least say that it's all house money. Like I've already taken my $50 out that I took from our bank. It's back in the bank. But I now have this money burning a hole in my pocket. I'm like, shit. I wonder if they're going to have bets on the Pro Bowl. I'm going to start betting on flag football, dude.
No.
It's just, I don't know. It's like, man, it gives you a rush. It just gives you a rush watching games you don't want to watch.
I never got into it. My grandpa was he was a gambler. He was, like he drove taxi cabs for a living. He would come home, he'd have his check, and he would pay the bills that he needs to, and he'd take the rest of his check and he would go to the casino that was less than a mile away from his house.
I love it.
He would go gamble. And that to me was like, we don't need this.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that.
No, dude, but listen, any vice, I take it to the max. I just, there's no low or medium setting for me. It's always go, go, go. When I drink, typically I'll drink. When I do my other stuff, I'll do it. There's like no in between. And gambling is it just saying, well, look at the toy stuff. Oh, toy photography. Okay. 3 years later, I've got like $30,000 worth of Black Series and Hot Toys figures. It's just how I'm wired. Hey, I just reminded myself of something I wanted to talk about during the James Gunn thing. Where the fuck was Peacemaker from the HBO TV lineup? Because that show was awesome, and I know it got a second season. So I was wondering why that was not on the schedule. Yeah,
maybe they didn't put it on there because it was already announced. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not
potential, but that's some good shit. In fact, where the fuck has John Cena been since Peacemaker aired? It's like he's just gone. He's not in wrestling. He's nowhere. Oh well, all right. Maybe
he's taking a break. Did
you ever get into WWF or no?
I mean, when I was younger, yeah. Like when I was younger, I was a big fan during like the Attitude era
so
of
that's
WWF,
right?
Like,
and that
probably, that was before Cena even really came in, though.
And I am of the school of thought that the Attitude era was the best era ever in WWE. It's never been rivaled. The rise of The Rock, Degeneration X, The Game, Kurt Angle. But anyways, this has a point. So my kid loves Young Rock. Like it's actually a pretty good sitcom.
The TV show?
Yeah, it's a good little sitcom. If you like Dwayne Johnson, it's worth watching. You kind of get a comedic retelling of his life. But anyways, we're watching it. It's at the point where he's gotten to WWE, started as a babyface. Everyone hated him. And then you see how he popped and how he became the guy. I'm like, dude, I wish I could show you like with this guy that era. And, so I would find videos on YouTube and most of it, like the crowd's all muted out. So she wasn't getting, I'm like, Charlie, when I was in college, like me and my buddies, we'd sit around every Monday night and we'd watch this like it was real life. And as like the countdowns, I was teaching her the 1, 2, 3, everyone goes fucking nuts. And I eventually found some Rock clips, but it seems like I'm going to have to get fucking Peacock or something if I want to go back and rewatch the Attitude era. And even then, it doesn't seem like I can just rewatch.
It's not probably all there.
That's what I mean. It's like they got the best of the Attitude era or the Attitude era. It's like an hour long. But I literally want to go back and rewatch from like 97 to 02, 03. Like The Rock's heyday, his rise, and then eventually his exodus. Because that was some fucking compelling sports entertainment.
It was. I mean, that was definitely. I mean, like in my opinion, that was when it was at its best. You know, that was when you really had like the best stars on there. It felt raw, and I know that's when Raw was made. Like it felt raw. It felt more real.
Well, yeah, I mean,
now
it got so popular. That's
like
when SmackDown they had to air a whole new show.
They had Raw and SmackDown.
You had because before that, Nick, it was Monday Night Raw. It was Sunday Night Heat, right? Sunday Night Heat. Mm-hmm. And that was it.
I think it was Heat. Heat might have been WCW, but I can't remember.
And then they added SmackDown on Thursdays, but it was just. I have so many great memories hanging out with college friends in apartments and watching Raw, going to pay-per-views in town. Just my God, the fun that era of wrestling gave me. It's just I'll never forget it, and that's why I love The Rock.
Yeah, dude,
I know The Rock drives a lot of people
fantastic.
nuts because of his success or whatever, nepotism. But the guy he's just intoxicating to watch. Like, I mean, he truly is a fucking entertainer. Like he's just
I mean, he is the first wrestling star to truly transcend the sport of wrestling into like actual movie stardom, TV star. And he took a specific route too. Like he did TV, he did then he did movies and stuff like that. Like he actually like had a very interesting career progression, and like he turned himself into the biggest fucking superstar in the world, basically. I mean, it was truly an amazing thing.
If anyone, like, if there are any diehard WWEers out there, if you know of a way, is a DVD, I don't care, I'll buy it. But I want like a collection of the Attitude Era, and I want to be able to watch it all. Even if there is something on Peacock, like I'd be willing to pay for it for a month or two just to go through that, because it might be a little too risque for a 7-year-old, but I think a lot of it she could probably watch, outside, like what they used to do with women and taking their pants off and shit like that. But
that I mean, like that is when it was really like you had like lingerie matches. And stuff. I mean, I don't know if they still do that.
No, all that's gone, man. Like women are actually wrestlers now, and they're not just eye candy like they were in the Attitude Era. But I mean, there's so much good shit. You had Edge and Christian. You had the Hardy Boys with Lita.
Rikishi
with his big ass. I mean, it was just Undertaker, obviously. The Rock and Sock Connection. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
So we've been going, like, I've been having a lot of sports entertainment nostalgia this past couple weeks. So much so that I don't know if I showed Nick or anyone. Maybe I'll post it in the Discord, but. Stunt Buddy and I, years ago, back before he really broke big, we were out at where they would train, and we filmed like a half-assed backyard wrestling match that he then edited and then added audio to it, like smacks and like Jim Ross commentating, and it lines up perfectly. It cracks me the fuck up. If I think about it, I'll post it to our Discord so people can watch it. But I mean, if you want to see some classic backyard wrestling from yours truly, make sure to hit the Discord. All right. There we go. Lots of randomness there, but that got us right to the fan segment. But since we do have some time, Nick, how about a little Matt Mando game if you got the deck of cards handy?
I have the deck of cards.
Let's do it.
Right next to me.
Woo! It's time to get those.
I got to see how many we got left.
Get those armpits sweating.
I mean, we have a decent amount. All right. So, Matt Mando game. For those of you who are not familiar, first-time listeners that are getting this far into the show, I have a little card game. If you're on camera or if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the cards right now. Star Wars Mandalorian trivia quiz. Little card deck. You can get them on Amazon, and it has trivia questions about season 1 of The Mandalorian on there. The way that it works is there are 1 point and 2 point questions. I only ask Matt the 2 point questions. Right. There's also multiple choice to the 2 point questions, but Matt only gets the multiple choice options if he asks for them and sacrifices one of his points. And then
it also makes me feel like a huge loser when I have to go to a lifeline.
Matt gets 5 questions per little session of this that we do, and then we total his points at the end and see if he
10
has
out of
passed
10.
or
Going
failed.
for 10 out of 10 this time. I had a rough outing last time. I have to improve, or there will be some punishment tonight.
All right. So, first question. What does... getting hyped. What does the Mandalorian give the child to wear at the end of season 1?
Oh, his mythosaur necklace.
That is correct.
Yeah! Suck it, you're all dumb.
Wrong start. What? This is probably another easy one that you'll get here for sure.
I'll take it.
What humanoid species is Kuiil?
Ugnaught.
Correct.
Yeah.
4 for 4 points.
Often forced into slave labor by the Empire.
Okay, this one may be a little different, or maybe a little harder. What species is Berg? Because Berg is a character that you have to remember, and I don't know if you do.
Who?
Berg. B-U-R-G.
Berg. Who the fuck's Berg? Is Berg the blue guy?
Berg is the blue guy.
Ah, shit. It's something...
No. Wait. No, I take that back. Berg is not the blue guy. Berg is not the blue guy. Berg was one of the characters. I'll give you a hint.
Oh, he was in the heist, the prison ship, right?
Correct. He was in the prison ship.
I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it the right way, but I believe it's like Davonian.
I'll give it to you. It's Deveronian. Correct.
Like rigatoni.
Deveronian.
All right. Yes. So if people aren't familiar, they're the devil species. Like they literally have like devil horns and shit.
Yeah. No, that was my bad. I got Berg mixed up with the guy from the first episode, the blue guy.
Yes.
All right. Next. What allows Ahsoka Tano to jump so high? What
are you fucking for real? And these are supposed to be the harder questions?
These are the harder questions.
Well, Alex, what is the Force?
Correct. It is the Force.
Who the fuck? I mean, come on. Will someone hire me to do Star Wars stuff?
Hey, man.
Like, who
I don't know
wrote
how
that
you
and
would
like,
go
oh,
about-
yeah, this is a good question. How do Jedi float?
How do Jedi jump
What a
so high?
fucking joke. I'll take
Matt
it, though.
Let's
go.
He's on a perfect
8 out of 8,
right now.
8 out of 8.
That's right. 8 out of 8.
Last one.
All right, last one. True or false?
Okay, 50-50.
Grief Karga sustained an injury to his chest during his brawl with Mando.
Well, I mean, this is very technical. I mean, we're talking like injury you need Bacta? Then no. Injury where he shot you in the chest and it hit a piece of Beskar and it blasted you out of the Razor Crest onto your back? Then I guess yes.
So, given that you have literally just like broken down the scenario that happened, the answer is true, so that is correct.
Well, yeah, I mean, I gave you both technicalities.
Yeah,
I fleshed them out. So yeah, I did say injury either way. But I have such a photogenic Star Wars mind. I gave you the exact scene, the exact circumstances. So thank you. Like I said, send the checks in the mail. I'm already awaiting my medals, my trophies from our Zepho connection earlier.
There you go. So that is a perfect 10 out of 10.
Thank God. I was nervous
for
after
the
that.
Matt Mando game this week. He redeemed himself from the last time with with stumbles. But there we
Call
go.
me Anakin Skywalker throwing Sheev Palpatine down a shaft.
I have some personal news for me. Sean Payton looks like he's being signed by the Broncos.
Ooh.
So that means.
So what does New Orleans get? Because he's still under contract and he's essentially an asset, right? So what do they have to give you?
We get
a first.
We get their first round pick this year, which fucking sucks for us anyway, because it's the 29th pick. Because their first round pick is from Cincinnati or from San Francisco.
Right, because they don't have their own because they gave them all up for Russell Wilson in a great move.
Exactly. So we have the 29th overall pick, and then I think we get
tens or teens.
We also get future.
Well, what's your own
draft
first round pick? Because you guys sucked pretty bad. Are you in the tens
we
or
have
teens?
no first round pick.
Oh, okay. Well,
we have no.
Who
first
did you
round
give
pick.
that to?
So we traded our first round pick last year to get a second first round pick in the 2022 draft. So that's when we got Chris Olave.
Well, I guess
we got Chris Olave with our trade.
That kind of worked out, I would say.
Yeah. But then our original first round pick was on Trevor Penning, the fucking offensive lineman who got immediately injured and never played again.
Those are my favorite. Yeah. All right. So you essentially got a first round pick back by giving up a coach that wasn't coaching for you. That's a pretty good deal, I would say.
Exactly.
I would think
pretty good deal. I mean, I hope we can make something happen with it because we need a quarterback desperately.
Yeah, I guess.
Desperately.
Yeah, you do. And there's at least 2 or 3 in this draft, although I would strongly caution your Saints against CJ Stroud. I don't see it. Like he never won a big game at Ohio State. Stats are amazing.
Yeah, so
never beat Michigan, never won the playoffs. Fuck them.
We'll see. But yeah, so here's what Denver's 2023 first round pick and next year's and Denver's 2024 second round pick for Peyton, and then they get Peyton and our 2023 third
Denver
round or
is
2024
a tire fire, man. Like they are between last year and now this deal you're telling me, they've mortgaged like the next 4 years of their draft. For old guys, for an old coach and for a fucking washed up quarterback.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you too. If Russell Wilson, like if Peyton goes there, and Peyton has apparently built this dream team of like coordinators and coaches. If Peyton goes there and Russell Wilson looks like he looked this
year, he'll cut him and eat the money.
Oh, he's got to. He's got to cut him. Like
Jeez.
If that happens, then Denver is truly in trouble for a long time.
They're on crack for a coach after what they did for Wilson. That's just nuts. They should have settled for Harbaugh and got him the fuck out of the Big Ten. Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, wild.
Hey, look, Nick and I can talk about anything. That's why it's the time show. It just turned into the NFL time show. Get used to it.
Yeah, just now.
It's a fucking variety program under the guise of Star Wars.
Yeah. I've been waiting for that news because I was like, we need something. We need Sean Payton to get a job, and we need something for it.
But you are right. Like I don't know what you're going to do in the first round unless you mortgage another few years of draft to move up. And
we would have to trade up to try to get. I mean, Bryce Young is gone. Bryce and
CJ are going in the 5, whether they deserve it or not.
Top 5. So, I mean, the only one that I have my eye on that we could potentially like make a move for, or even get if he falls, is Max Dugan from TCU. Yeah. I mean, he obviously they got blown.
Has he declared though? I didn't even know if he declared. Did he declare?
I'm not sure. Maybe he didn't after the national championship game.
Wow. See, I'm just like I sit here. I'm not a Bengals fan. I'm a Steelers fan. Obviously, I hate their guts because they're in the same division. But I am a Joe Burrow fan, and it boggles my mind that he was at Ohio State for so long and didn't play. He graduated from Ohio State, never saw the field, got beat out by the likes of Dwayne Haskins, God rest his soul, and JT Barrett. And since Ohio State, he's gone on to do nothing but kick the shit out of everything. Like, goes to LSU by year 2, wins the fucking championship, sets crazy records. Second year, it bungles after blowing his knee out, taking a franchise that just has been a doormat to the fucking Super Bowl. Should have went to the Super Bowl this year if it wasn't for the refs, but I don't know. The refs definitely had a big impact on that game, but Cincinnati, you can't let that guy return it to the damn near 50 with 30 seconds left. And either way, I wish Joe Burrow, I want to reset time. I want to cancel this universe, start another twig or sprig or whatever the fuck you call them. And I want to see what would happen with Ohio State if he would have made it. Like, would Joe Burrow have had the same trajectory, or was the fact that he washed out of Ohio State with a degree and had to go to LSU, is that what made him who he was? I don't know. The guy fascinates me. All right.
But so Dugan is going to the draft.
Okay, well there you go.
We might be able to get him. We'll see what happens. We need fucking somebody.
It's just it's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. We us old people, we always say it, but time gets faster and faster. But can you believe that football is 2 weeks from being over until August? Like
know.
it just,
hey man,
it just felt like it was September, like
XFL.
yesterday. It literally felt like it was September yesterday.
I got the XFL now because the XFL has the San Antonio team, and Taylor and I are season ticket holders, baby.
So how far is that then for you guys?
San Antonio is like an hour drive.
That's cool because San Antonio is a great fucking city. Remember when we were there for PAX? That was a fucking. For PAX, that's a great PAX. Like I don't know if they still do. Was that PAX West or PAX South?
PAX South.
I don't know if they still do PAXs and they still have that one. That's my favorite. Like I did the Seattle. I did the Boston. That PAX South in San Antonio was awesome. San Antonio is an awesome little city. That Riverwalk shit they got. I mean,
yeah, no. It is very fun. It like Taylor and I went there a couple times just to like hang out and
I didn't know that. I didn't know you guys were that close, but I thought you were like middle state and they're a little bit further down.
No, it's not that far. It's not that
hey, good
so
for you.
We'll be going to the
what are they then? The San Antonio what?
The Brahmas,
the fucking
and
rock,
they're coached
like literally
by your boy Hines Ward.
Yeah, all right, dude, I'm there. I'm with Nick. Then that's my team. I'll take it, right? Because there's no Ohio team. I don't think there's a PA team. So fuck it. I'll jump on that shit. I'll watch it for a little bit. I mean, I still think the XFL is going to fail again. I don't know why Dwayne and his ex-wife think that they're going to make it last, but I'll check it out. Why not? It's $7,
right
bro.
Now
$7 production.
Dude, it's cheap. I mean, like I think our season tickets were
probably $1.
$400 for all the games.
And you're like, probably like the mayor. Like that's probably like the suite, right? Like you have a fucking suite there.
We're definitely like we're on like the 40-yard line and we're in like row 10 or something. Damn, man,
like I'm actually somewhat jealous of that. I would love to have something like that in Columbus because that's the type of town Columbus is. We got pro hockey, but it's a fucking dumpster. They haven't done shit in decades. Not that I'd care. I'm a Penguins fan. Fuck the Blue Jackets. But then we have MLS and then Ohio State. And I love my Buckeyes, but I would love like XFL. I think is perfect for this town. We have multiple arenas inside and out. They wouldn't need a building. It's just like I don't know why we didn't get one. I'm guessing because there's like 9 NFL teams in this state.
That's true. If they expand, because right now there's 8 teams. There's the funny thing is that there's 8 teams and there's 3 teams from Texas. There's one in Arlington, one in Houston, and one in San Antonio.
I mean, it's the geography of the state, but it's also the people. Like football down there, it's church from prep all the way to college and beyond. So that makes sense.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
Arlington,
that's
DC, Houston, Orlando, San Antonio, Seattle, St. Louis, and Vegas. Those are the cities now.
I bet Vegas would be a fun game to go to.
Vegas Vipers.
I dig. I mean, I hope the XFL turns into something because it would be nice to get a little bit of football for a couple months over the spring and actually see the guys transition to the league. Like if they can figure out that pipeline where the NFL supports the XFL. With the intention that this is almost like our minors, then it could live. But if they keep trying to kill it, it's never going to beat the NFL.
Yeah. See, I think that they announced something like that early on, that they were going to be working with the NFL in terms of like player health and safety initiatives, training programs and stuff like that. So I do think that they're trying to position it as more of like an NFL D league than it is like a competitor.
It'd be sweet and it'll never happen. But if they did something like Premier League where the champion of XFL would get bumped up to NFL for like a year or so.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be great. The coaches in the XFL are crazy too. The Arlington coach is Bob Stoops.
Yeah. Wade Phillips is a coach too. Like you said, Hines Ward.
Wade Phillips is a coach. Hines Ward. Rod Woodson is
another
a coach.
Steeler
like
guy.
they got a bunch of Yeah, they got a bunch of old players
Yeah, I
and
mean,
old NFL.
it's essentially, I believe every coach is either a Hall of Fame player or a Hall of Fame something or won a Super Bowl. So
yeah, so
All right.
good stuff.
Yeah,
so
they just had their big event yesterday somewhere. I mean, The Rock was, mass tweeting all this shit out. But all right, we're talking about Star Wars, right? Is anyone left? Who cares? the podcast people, they tuned out 30 minutes ago. The live streamers, they're now drooling on their keyboards. So it is time
what are they talking about?
for. That is the thing, and that's like I tried to say last week. Like you and I, even though we're super nerds, for some reason, we also are open to other things that nerds almost look at like the devil. What drives me nuts about nerds? Like people like you and I, if we start talking about sports, it's like, oh, you're talking about the ball thing. You're talking about the sports ball.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you just sound like a douche. Okay.
Yeah, it's like I can enjoy sports as well as video
being
games.
a nerd. You've probably been picked on passive aggressively your whole life. Why are you now doing it to us because we're sports nerds? Like it's just like all humans suck. Okay, there we go. Show over. Okay. Nope. Fan segment time.
Anyway,
Let's go.
It's fan segment time.
Let's do it.
All right. This week on the fan segment, like always, we kick it off with our question of the week. Our question of the week during any Star Wars show that is live is always going to be, what was your favorite or least favorite part of that? So for season 2, episode 5 of The Bad Batch, the question was, what was your favorite or least favorite part from The Bad Batch, season 2, episode 5, the Indiana Jones one?
Okay.
And like I mentioned earlier in the show, it was a light response week, to say the least. So I have all of the responses from our post, aside from the one spam one, screenshotted, and I will read through those now. The first responder is SW Props. Good buddy. He says, I love Omega's eagerness, but it may get them killed one day. Overall, it was an okay episode. Nothing too exciting. Hopefully we get back on track with this series soon. Ooh.
You know what, though? I think Props has shown a little bit of growth, because I feel like Props over the summer or last year during Book of Boba Fett would have got a little more toxic with that comment. So good for him.
Yeah. Maybe Bad Batch is just better than Book of Boba Fett.
You know what, dude? I still I know I'm running out of time, but I do want to do a Mandoverse catch up before March 1st, and I am including the Book of Boba Fett. And I want to get back to the mod racers and the extremely slow chase scenes and see how they look a year later.
Those chase scenes were
terrible, fucking terrible,
so bad. All right, next up,
Johnny Boy.
Osage. Oh, love that guy. He says, this was a great episode. I love the indie vibe, especially with the music at the entrance of Scar and all. It was very close to when Belloc is about to open the Ark. Whatever you do, Omega, don't open your eyes. Cheers, SWTS. Thank you, Johnny.
Good one there, Osage.
I mean, he nailed what you were saying about the music, about the.
I still smile when I think back to Johnny's trolling of people when he said that Cameron Monaghan should play Cal Kestis in live action. One of the most brilliant trolls ever. I loved it.
Oh yeah. Next up, DKR0102 says, the whole episode, LOL, I have faith it will get back on track. I'm not sure if the whole episode was his favorite or least favorite, but
I'm thinking DKR is going with the negative connotation there.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that too, because closing it out with I have faith it will get back on track is probably indicative of I don't like it.
It's in the sewer at this point in time for DKR 0102, but it happens, pal. Indeed. You never know. There's always tomorrow. Hey, we never even speculated. Tomorrow they're going to do something next.
They will do. Yeah, it's hard to speculate on now.
Yeah, there really is no overarching chain narrative. So who the fuck knows? I mean, it literally can go anywhere. But hopefully we get some Empire tomorrow. There we go. We're gonna get Empire in episode 6. Take it to the bank.
We'll get Crosshair back in there somehow. Mr. Mappa 06 says, enjoying your reviews on YouTube. I've not seen it yet, but hoping the series gets better.
This motherfucker
So
wins.
literally-
He wins comment of the decade. I don't. Mr. Muppa from here on out is the champion of the question of the week because he actually admitted to watching my reviews on YouTube.
He watched your
Yeah.
reviews on YouTube without even seeing the episode
Love it.
yet.
That is my guy. I like it right there. He's basically
So,
like, hey, your
that
reviews
is-
are good. The show sucks. It gets better. Woo!
Yeah, I mean, so I think that is indicative of what people thought of this episode. We had 5 actual comments, and 2 of them were from the same person, and
one-
that person didn't even watch the episode.
And one has nothing to do with the Bad Batch. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, I like your shitty content. Thumbs up, pal. Ah, fuck.
Thank you, Mr. Mappa.
This is why this is my favorite segment every week. I know it's probably not funny to anyone else, but I don't know. This shit just cracks me up. I love it. All right. Moving on.
Moving on. So that was the
Hey,
question.
what'd you guys
of the
think
week.
of Bad
Thank you,
Batch?
everybody.
Sucked. It was okay. I don't watch it.
I didn't even watch it.
That is awesome.
Oh man.
Okay.
Good
All right.
stuff. Good stuff. All right. And if you want to get involved in different ways for the fan segment, make sure to get involved in our top 5 Star Wars fan art speeches of the week. The way that you do that is add tag on your Star Wars art posts on Instagram.
Yes,
add
please.
tag at Star Wars Time Show.
It's getting really bad. Like I'm actually having people accusing me of shadow banning them now. I promise you that's not who I am.
Us.
Like there's one guy like Mando mugshots. He just stopped even tagging us because they think he's like, oh, they're just
Wow.
ignoring it. It's like, no, you got to do add tag. There's only like 3 of you left that still show up in the hashtag. We still want you on it, but you literally you can't do at Star Wars Time Show. Type it in. You have to do the add tag function. Star Wars Time Show.
Yeah. So, add tag Star Wars Time Show, hashtag Star Wars Time Show, and at Star Wars Time Show on your post.
And rub your belly and hop on one foot.
Yeah. And pat your head,
There.
close your eyes, and
I
sing
might
a
see
song.
it after that.
Yeah. All right. So to kick off the top 5 this week is at Homemade Galaxy
All right.
with a fantastic Mando. I call this like a Mando hero
Oh,
pose
100%.
shot.
100%.
What we see here is Mando stepping into it looks like some sort of house on Tatooine by the way that the construction looks. Hand is on his pistol, ready to draw. His cape kind of slightly flapping in the wind in the background, standing in his full Beskar glory, obviously other than his one shin guard there. But it's like, to me, this was just a very clean, well executed, well posed shot from Homemade Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a nice, simple setup, portrait style. Excuse me. This is the Mafex Mando, I believe. And if you own this guy, you do understand he looks pretty good. But like with most Mafex things, he can get a little loosey-goosey in the joints. But yeah, Homemade, really, I don't know. I mean, like I said, sometimes I just appreciate the simplicity of a portrait. And this is one that shines. Good little backlight there. Looks like he's only lighting it from the left side, which kind of leaves the right side in the dark. That, you know, it adds to the tone of the shot. So good looking shiny Mando from at Homemade Galaxy. How many new Mando figures will we get after season 3, considering the guy is in the same fucking armor? You just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's going to be something.
of
You know,
course.
there's going to be like a little
Did
thing
they
on
release
his
like
chest
19
plate.
versions of the Mandalorian from season 1 and 2? There's Snow Mando, Muddy Mando, Shiny Mando, Brown Mando. I mean, it's crazy. Okay.
It was, yeah. So
Up
anyway,
next.
at Homemade Galaxy, great job. At Mint Complete is next.
Resurface. I mean, he just pops up a few times a year, and luckily we still
Yeah.
can see his shots. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, he pops up every so often, and every time he pops up, he's got some bangers. And I think the thing about Mint is his shots are so good and so well done in terms of like the post effects that he does in Photoshop and all of the the compositional work that he does, or the compositing work that he does. You can't even tell that they're toy shots.
No, I mean, I was going to
So
say
what
this
we're
looks like a fucking still from the Mandalorian of the Razor Crest on approach to a planet.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we see here is the back exhaust of the Razor Crest engines as it starts its descent down onto a very Earth-like looking planet. And I mean, like I said, Mint Complete is such a fantastic compositor and such a fantastic magician in Photoshop and all of the other tools that he uses that like you can't even tell that this ship is a toy. No. That he took a picture of and then fucking made it
Nick,
look it's actually in space.
Did you look at the BTS? Is this the Razor Crest I have, or is this like one of the tiny micro galaxy deals? Do you know?
Let me.
Let's head out there and see if he posts anything. God, I've got to get a new computer.
Oh no, the Mac is failing.
I mean, it struggles to even like open links now.
I don't even know. Does he even have a BT? There is no BTS. There is no BTS. Right.
Well, you know what? So he has some older shots of the crest, and it does look like the Big Daddy. So we're just going to have to assume Mig is running with the same deal there. But yeah, looks fantastic, and he's back at least. You know, he just kind of pops up, drops a post, disappears, comes back. But always good to see him, and always good to know that he's still thinking of the SWTS.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, the background does all the work. You know, I was because he responded to Jason because Jason asked him, how did you do it? And he just said, my edits are just epic by association. The background does all the work.
I mean, so, like he has had BTS in the past, and it usually is just either all on white or all in black, shoots the toy, and then, as Nick said, blends it in with compositing to a background. And that that sounds like, oh, that's fucking easy. It's not. Like compositing at this level is crazy because you got to match the lighting of the background image. Yeah. Sometimes he'll use multiple images from other sources. You got to mash all those together and blend them. So, I mean, it's a work of art. Definitely looks like a still or a poster, not a toy that was shot on a blank background.
100%. So beautiful job at Mint Complete on Instagram. Make sure to give them a follow. Next up in the top 5 is our good buddy.
I didn't know which one you picked from Snaps because Action Figure Snaps, in my opinion, has kind of gone up a level over the past few months in terms of his toy photography and his setups. So I didn't know which one you picked because I think I featured a few this week, but it looks you went with the hooded bow then, like Night Owl bow from 100%. Clone Wars Season 7 is what I felt when I saw this image.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a fantastic representation of hooded Bo-Katan and her full Night Owl get up, like you were saying. Very reminiscent of Clone Wars Season 7 when she's kind of like looking down on all of the happenings that are going on before the battle like really kind of kicks off and the Night Owls join. I mean, and you're right 100% that like Snaps Adrian has really stepped up his game in the last couple of months or so. I mean, he has taken his toy photography to a completely new level, and it shows like the work that he's put in and whatever he's been doing to really hone his craft is showing itself in these new images that he's been putting out, and it's some fantastic work here. I cannot give him enough praise for his
I dig it. The hood on Bo is a nice touch. The lighting there, the blending of the light. I'm sure this is Digi because that looks like Coruscant back there. But yeah, it's just great work. Real quick, tangent again. I don't know if you saw the full story on the Peyton thing, but apparently Denver wanted D'Amico Ryan from 49ers, but he accepted Texans, and then that's when Broncos essentially sold the farm to bring in Peyton.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, because the Broncos are in a position now to where they don't have a choice. Like they needed a head coach.
Well, yeah, D'Amico would have been great because he was a DC, a good DC, but they wouldn't have had to give up draft picks. They just like he wanted to. Hey, here's your opportunity with Peyton. Like we just discussed, it was essentially like trading a player, and they had to give up the farm now. So. Yeah, well, you should have offered him first. Who knows? But yeah, back to I don't want to take anything away from the fan segment. Sorry about that. So at Action Figure Snabs with the Z, good looking Night Owl Bo-Katan. Check him out on Instagram.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Make sure to give them a follow. Next up, hey, we just talked about this guy. Not this guy. This is at Johnny 1300 that we're talking about now. But this guy in the picture, this looks like Kawil to me. So we got a shot here of our good buddy Kawil working on, it looks like IG-11. And then you can see right off in the background a beat up, no longer in use stormtrooper helmet. It's such a, like, this is such a clean shot of Kawil. I gotta imagine that this is a Hot Toys figure that we're seeing here because of the level of detail.
He's finally starting to get shipped out. I actually canceled my Kawil because it was taking forever, and sometimes I start second guessing myself, and I was like, fuck it, I'll cancel this one out of the, I still have like 25 on pre-order. But yeah, he is starting to ship, so I'm starting to see him in the community shots, and I found Johnny 1300 to really have one of the best Hot Toys Kawil shots so far. And you are correct, that would be the Hot Toys IG-11, the Hot Toys Trooper helmet back there. And I think my favorite aspect of the shot is just how dark the background is, and then that kind of low key light on Kawil, and then that softer orange light coming from his lantern on the left side of his face. It's just a classy shot of Kawil doing his thing.
It is. Beautiful shot from at Johnny1300 on Instagram. Make sure to give him a follow. And then finally, to close out the top 5 for this week, we got Jesse Fireson, whatever it is, Feyrereisen. And it's just the cutest little Grogu chewing on a piece of Beskar. This is like, I don't know if this is the Egg Attack figures or which one of these
are actually
Droid or whatever.
These are actually from Hasbro. They're like, I don't want to say they're blind boxes, but you'd buy like these little Grogus, and I actually have a few right here. You can see on camera right now. But they're very stylized little plastic figures of Grogu doing Grogu things. And the Grogu thing we see in Jesse's shot, like Nick said, is he's like testing to see if a brick of Beskar is real Beskar. You know how like the old guys in the Wild West, they'd like bite on a nugget to make sure it was real gold. I don't know how the fuck that works, but that's what our buddy Grogu's doing here.
It's just such a cute little figure. I mean, but like even beyond the figure, I mean, the way that Jesse set this shot up, you can see Mando standing in the background. What makes the obviously shot. You don't see his body.
That's what makes the shot.
Yeah, I mean, even like off in like the deep background over to the right, you can see like the hazy outline of the Razor Crest, them standing on the sand. I mean,
here's the fun thing about this shot, Nick. So you got this little guy in the front, right? If you're on the live stream, you can see I'm holding mine up. They're pretty tiny, fit in the palm of your hand. Probably no taller than 1.5 inches, like essentially my member size. But behind him, we're then using Hot Toys Din, so 1/6 scale. And then the crest way in the back, I believe, is Micro Squadron. So it's super small. So Jesse's kind of using the old forced perspective effect to layer in figures of different scale. But thanks to camera placement, the distance of the background objects, they all look cohesive, like they belong together. So, little breakdown for you.
Beautiful stuff there. Great use of, like you said, multiple figure sizes. Great use of space in the image as well to really fill the composition and have this awesome shot with this little cute baby Grogu chewing on some Beskar. And that's at Jesse. I'm going to say Fireson, Feyereisen on Instagram.
Verizon.
That's Verizon.
Verizon. Jesse Verizon.
Jesse, send us a phonetical spelling of your name. We know how to.
It works though. You remember the one guy, like I'll say it wrong, but now I know how to say it. Like we were calling him like Gillimain. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
no, he actually,
yeah.
bro, he went so far to send me like a link to have it pronounced through Translate, and he's like, okay, here you go. It's Guillaume. So we can learn, but you need to teach us. Remember, we're stupid. So for now, it's at dumb. Jesse Verizon until we learn the actual pronunciation.
That's right. But anyway, that's the end of the top 5. That's the end of our show for this week. We hope that you enjoyed all of the NFL football talk, all of the DC universe
you
talk.
never know. I mean,
talk about the last of it.
DC. Bat chimed in. He seemed to like the sports. You just don't know. Like I said, there does seem to be a certain population of geeks, dorks, and nerds that if you say sports, it's almost like you're a bad guy. Like, oh no, you're one of those popular people. How dare you talk sports ball in front of us? But listen, it's a passion. Just like I've actually been chiming into the chat a little bit on the keyboard today. But in my life, it's like Star Wars, sports. When it comes to what I listen to on the radio, it's stern local sports talk. I mean, that's just what I fill my downtime with. So hey, you never know what you're going to get on the Star Wars Time Show. So like they're saying in the live stream chat here, make sure to hit that like button if you are watching live. Let's try to pump up some numbers on this episode. And as always, as we shut down an episode of the SWTS, we're here to remind you, we need more friends. Get out there, hit the streets, recruit, bring them in, indoctrinate them, whatever you got to do. We like having people to hang out with, chat with. You know, a few weeks ago, the chat was scrolling by, a bunch of new people in there. Clearly, we didn't resonate because they're all gone, but that's what Nick and I are used to. But you know, we're looking to have some fun, and it's always more fun with more Star Wars fans and like-minded individuals. So don't forget about StarWarsTime.net out there on the interwebs. That's our home base. You can find a lot of our links to sub to the show on YouTube, to sub to it on podcast platforms. And really all we ask you to do, if you are already subbed up, is on YouTube, always like and comment on our content. I'll typically put out some short form content within the week. We'd love for you to like it, leave a comment, maybe even share it on your own socials. And on the podcast platform, same deal. You got to tell the AI, you got to tell Chat GPT, Star Wars Time Show is good. They're stupid, but it's fun and worth listening to for 2 to 3 hours a week. That way, more people will just automatically be directed to the SWTS. And besides, we've got some plans for this year, okay? Well, you know, we got new Star Wars to talk through April. But if you remember last week, we're spitballing this first ever Star Wars Time Show, Star Wars D&D special. We've been out recruiting. We haven't given up already, okay? I think we have our...
We definitely have 3 players.
I think we got the players.
I think
we're close on players. So far, Sir Dork and Trevor are committed. I've been working on Press Pause, a.k.a. Connor. He bit a little bit, not fully committed yet. We'll see. Maybe after the show, I'll check to see if he replied. But once we get our players set, then we're going to have our meeting, which will flesh out the details for those in the group. And then from there, obviously, as we do every Tuesday, we'll come here and just kind of live plan it out. And before you know it, we'll be doing our Star Wars D&D hosted by Dungeon Master Big Dog Nick, who's going to write the story. We're going to be the characters, and at least 2 of us, maybe all of us, have never done this before. So it's going to be just the shit show potential should be worth a view and your support. So keep talking it up, keep promoting the show. Anytime you run into a Star Wars fan, young, old, maybe not too young because of our mouths or my mouth, just point them to StarWarsTime.net, because there really is always time for Star Wars Time, my friends. Don't forget that. Even if stuff's, you know, even if we're not pushing narratives, if we're self-contained, there truly is still time to enjoy a little bit of Star Wars. So tune in. Tuesdays on the live. Wednesday, the podcast gets posted, but it's really just the same show as Tuesdays. StarWarsTime.net. Don't forget it. All right? And as always, as we leave you, we will remind you with some sage advice. if these guys talking Tradio in here on you motherfuckers got me off track. Sorry, it's a Stern thing, Tradio. Apparently in the South you can sell shit on the radio, Nick. Like you're calling like, hey, I got some chickens for sale. I'm like, all right, how much you want? It'd be $5. And another guy calling me, I want one of the goddamn chickens. It's just whatever. So Sal and Richard always harass them. But it's time to go. Nick's done. He's only paid for 2.5 to 3 hours a week. So we're coming up against the clock where I'm going to have to give him his bonus. So let's say goodbye, my friends. Remember, if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.